Pritchard pub.
This evening, our special guest is M. Anthony Harris.
And we're here to show his new book and all of his books and just him in general.
Yeah, because he's a great guy.
Sorry. Trying to fix this book.
Thank you.
Start off by saying hi to the chat. I see Ultimate Kahuna. What up, Kahuna? We got Bat Sauce. Greetings. Tim Allen, where's the mood?
I'm going to start by saying I'm glad to have you back on our stream.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thanks for showing up. How has it been going?
It's been going okay. It's winter break here. So I'm a teacher here in China, so we're on our winter break. So had a decent amount of free time.
Yeah,
But,
time
you
with
know,
the family.
I'm
That's
just a
awesome.
wife and baby now.
So not only are you an author, you're a part-time hero. That's amazing. Awesome.
How is
Something
our
like
baby still more bald than yours?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Mystery.
But to be fair, my baby is like, he's only 9 months, but he's the size of like a 2-year-old. So
Yeah, ours is pretty enormous as well. It's pretty insane. Timo Burnham, how's it going, buddy? We got Brian McCoppin. We copped a McCoppin in the chat. Fantastic. Evelyn Music and the chieftain himself,
Hail everyone
Johnny
in the chat.
Douglas. How's everybody doing tonight? Fantastic to see you.
Tangled their code.
And
got
Goku.
my phone pulled up so I can actually see the chat this time.
Fantastic.
That-
I think I'm going to do the same thing here. All
Mm-mm.
right. Well,
Is it?
Tinglehunas. That's the new word I'm going to say. Tinglehuna.
Tangle, babe.
I'm saying tingle because it's
You tangled your kahunas.
Kahunas.
more sensory. All right. So you got this new book coming out called An Unexpected Adventure.
Yeah.
How about we start off with you just telling everybody about it a little bit, huh? Let's
All
hear
right,
about it.
sounds good. So I wanted to write an all ages book because now that I got a kid, I'm like, we need more good kids books.
Yeah.
And I was on a stream with actually Mr. Kahuna the other day, and somebody pointed out there's this book series called The Wing Feather Saga. And I was reading that, and it was pretty dang excellent. And I was like, I want to make my own book that can compare to that. But also, I was like, there's so many books that are just super grand in scale, and I want to make this more personal coming of age. So it's a story about this kid named Asa in a very strange and fantastical world. And he gets picked up by a storm, literally picked up, and it throws him halfway across the continent. And he loses his memories, and he has to find his way home.
Love it.
Through strange lands. Like there's the rolling hills, which are hills that move around and play tricks on travelers.
Literally roll, in a sense.
Yeah, they literally roll around.
Yeah.
I think Andy knows by now that my probably favorite call to adventure is not remembering who you are.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty good
So
one.
like having no memory and, like I got to find myself. So I am going to get all of your, so we are actually, we started with Sherlock Hamster, and we're just reading chapters back and forth. So we're actually not done with it. I know it's not that long of a read, but we were really tired when we started reading it, and it is actually, it's epic. I love it so much.
Yeah. I think
already.
the tone of it is.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
There will be many
Yeah.
compliments in my formal review.
Yeah. Yep. And same for me. I mean, I got all these lovely Iron Age books. Why not? They're all going to be great. I can already
It's
tell.
going to take us forever, but I'm really excited. Yeah. And on our second list, we're putting more female authors too, just to try to balance it out and showcase females a little bit more.
As well.
I'm always really, really big on, I never understood why people are like, I only get along with guys. I'm like, you can't relate to one, no matter how much you think. I mean, and that's coming from me, who has had every like manly job in the books pretty much besides the modeling. It's always been usually,
Yeah.
So anyway, I just really want to, like, I think women empower each other just as much, and people in general. So anyway.
And I think the goal is a good variety. Like, let's get a good slice of the Iron Age or like the indies.
Yeah.
Like,
I haven't read many indie books by females yet, but like one of my favorite authors, like one of the best fantasy writers I know, she's a lady, Robin Hobb, but she writes some of the best character writing you'll ever see.
Is she indie?
No, she's traditionally published, but
that's
been
right.
around for almost 30 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, obviously nothing wrong with traditional publishing, but there is a lot wrong with it at the same time. Just like, it's not like a negative, right? Yeah,
no, there's a lot of good traditionally published stuff, but the people that are running it now it's generally the good stuff is the stuff that's already been grandfathered in for the most part.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so are you super, super excited for your baby to be able to read your books? Because I know Andy cannot wait for Xander to read it.
Yeah. I can't wait for him to understand it because I'm going to read it to him, It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Goofy voices.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It'll be fun. I've started actually with the Sherlock hamster. I've only published book 1, but I just wrote book 4, and it started as just a bedtime story to my little baby to help him fall asleep. So I figure I might just keep doing some Sherlock hamsters starting as bedtime stories to the baby.
Oh, that's nice. That's actually a great place to start. That's where I'd start.
Kahuna says there are a lot of indie female authors, but not that consider themselves Iron Age. I have noticed that, and I will still add them to my list and consider them Iron Age and tag them and treat them as if they are. And if they want to run with it and consider themselves part of the Iron Age, awesome. If not, they don't really have a choice.
Right. Because it's an age.
It is. It's like the movement, and it's the culture we're building, and it's important. So get in here. Like, join the cult, according to you know who.
The cult of like just doing it yourself.
It's the best damn cult I've ever. It's the only cult I'd be a part of.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's just like I don't really care what they're writing about. If they're an indie, that basically qualifies you in my eyes. Like, you're doing it yourself.
If the Iron Age,
that makes me think of the hardcore scene, true cult music.
If Iron Age is a cult, then where's the Kool-Aid?
Yeah, let me see that Kool-Aid because I'm thirsty, and I haven't had any Kool-Aid. So,
dude, I haven't had Kool-Aid in years.
Yeah, dude, that is like I had when I grew up in Northeast Minneapolis. I had a lot of the neighbor kids around the same age as me coming over for some reason just to drink Kool-Aid that my mom made. I don't know why.
Nice.
I think they just didn't have the means, or it was fun. I don't know. Good excuse to just come hang out with the neighbors, I guess,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my Kool-Aid story.
We really have Kool-Aid here in China. So
that's good. It's
garbage. That's true.
You don't want Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
The neighbors, I guess,
what we would do here instead of Kool-Aid. It'd probably just be like, come drink the tea.
Yeah.
I don't think I can watch it on the tablet, baby.
Oh, that's all right.
Oops.
You just do what you can while we're going here.
Because I believe it's the account we're on. Let me check.
Gotcha.
Because I'm watching it on.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull your book up here, which, by the way, is for those listening or just joining or whatever, is called An Unexpected Journey. So coming in Baby's Tale.
Adventure.
Oh, sorry. An Unexpected Adventure. I'm famous for misspeaking here. So I got
going back to the unexpected adventure, yeah, I'm excited for this book
Is
because
that mine?
in some ways it's very straightforward. It's just about a kid trying to get home, but it's also fun and whimsical, and there's a lot of strange creatures and things. In some ways, it's very straightforward.
Tell us some more about the world.
So it's set in a continent called Airlandia, and it's a strange, whimsical place. There, the main character, he lives next to the floating forest, which is it's what it sounds like. It's a forest that's floating, and over many hundreds of years, people wove pathways through it with the roots of the trees. And so he helps his family harvest exploding clob fruits, which are fruits that explode, and when the trees feel threatened, they'll throw it at people. So you have to be very careful when you're harvesting the clob fruits.
Amazing.
So we got the blurb here.
Does he have some memory of doing that too? Like, he doesn't know why he knows about them, or
he picks up stuff like that along the way. Like, that's one of the plot points is after a while he remembers, because his third favorite activity in the world is eating.
okay.
Or no, his first favorite activity in the world is eating, but it's his third favorite thing after his parents and his grand uncle.
Did you say Asa?
Yeah, Asa. I call it Asa, but Asa's
Asa. Okay. Asa is lost. He's half a continent away from home and doesn't know how he got there or even who he is. But he has a guide, and if he can make it through the wildlands filled with strange plants and even stranger creatures in one piece, he has a chance to be home again and remember who he really is. Bam! Short and sweet. I love it. Bam!
Yeah.
Wait,
one of my friends he makes indie TTRPGs here in China. He was saying most blurbs should be 30 words or under. And then I had a little help condensing that, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go with this, because another indie reviewer, I put out a blurb, and he was like, what about you just shorten it to something like this? I was like, that's good, I'm stealing it. And he was
I would definitely agree with a kid's book, about that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense to have a short book with like a crazy long blurb, I guess.
Well, plus especially if it's like all ages or like intended for maybe some younger readers, a short, clear, concise blurb is probably in your benefit, you know.
I think so too.
It's terrific though. I can't wait.
So we got this is the book cover here.
Yep. That's his guide that he's riding on.
It reminds me so much of the spirit animals that Andy's doing, or AC is doing right now too, with like how Zan's like riding his wait. Never mind. I almost said a spoiler. So anyway.
He's riding something. That's important.
But it's like it's perfect for kids too, because then they can just imagine themselves on these big beasts who are really their dogs in real life.
and brother, I am all about animal bonding, human animal friendship, like not even like in a preachy hippie PETA kind of way.
But
just
Sherlock Hamster's the animal,
right?
The main character is an animal, which is also amazing. And look how badass he looks, you guys.
I know, right?
Like, you do not want to F with this hamster.
It's a very particular art style with the Sherlock hamster. I love it.
Yeah. It's like a hamster noir.
Yep. Actually,
hamster noir. I love it.
P. Riley, the artist who did his comic, he's the one who did the cover illustration for me. And
I've been wanting to get
illustrations.
I did not notice. I saw the arm coming out of the truck after him. Or is that a truck or a building? It looks like a building?
No, it's a truck.
It's the old paddy wagon.
Yeah, okay.
Truck.
I didn't notice the face at first. I just saw the arm. I did not notice that face. It's like,
Yeah. I don't know if
anyway.
you've gotten to that part of the book yet, so I won't spoil anything.
Yeah. Please don't.
No, but
we should just finish that tonight.
yeah, we have to.
Let's do it.
I'm really feeling his mink.
I was like, yeah, the mink. That was the mink.
So much.
Had to
was
do
like-
the old femme fatale, but make it kid friendly.
Yeah. I saw what you're doing, like pulp pinup. Like I saw what you're doing. I see you. It works.
Yeah.
It works.
No, I grew up listening to like old time radio shows and old time detective pulp, like radio dramas, and so I wanted to make that kid friendly.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Well, you succeeded.
Yeah, you did a good job. It's very kid friendly.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't wait until Xander's the age where he's really taking it all in and building the world in his head.
So
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you can hear my little dude. He's crying in the background right now. So
No,
I can't hear anything besides our little.
At this point, he's part of the show, which is fine. He's just excited about it. So we got Kahuna in the chat. He's like, if y'all are on long enough, I'll join you. I need about Tree Pity. All right,
Sounds
Kahuna.
good.
You talked us into it. You can't threaten us with a good time, buddy. Honestly, when do you want to come on? Because we're just going to be talking about M. Anthony Harris and all ages stories and fantasy and
Kahunas.
And Kahunas,
Anyway.
obviously. Yeah. I mean,
everything's
And
got to be about Kahunas.
I think you threatened to talk about cryptozoology, which is something I can go on for ages about.
Yes, we can. And I mean, that was on the menu. Honestly, I was just, you don't want to serve the prime rib like right away, unless there's some sort of like appetizer for them.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later because I also have a new work in progress with stuff like that. So,
ooh, nice. Yeah, I suggest you take your interest in that and apply it in some way. I have wanted to put like a sort of skinwalker or like rake yeti type creature into my world. The closest thing to like a Bigfoot is going to be my orcs, brother. They're built like a Bigfoot essentially, and they're hairy like that. Just imagine like Warhammer 40K or like Warcraft orcs, but just like hairy and not necessarily green. Like green or sallow is actually pretty rare. Yeah. So there's my yeti, and they even live in the Arctic and shit. So, but I want to put like a skinwalker or like a rake in there because I mean there's something there because they're built like the witch from Left 4 Dead, right? They got the long arms with the long fingers and the huge eyes, almost like a gray alien. And almost like actually Gollum from Lord of the Rings. 100% is.
Gollum from Lord of the Rings, except for like a 6 foot tall creature.
And like, still hunched with like longer fingers and longer arms, like dragging the knuckles on the ground or whatever, running on all fours like he does. Yeah.
Look at this good boy.
I don't know how to apply that. Well, I kind of applied it in ways in my novel.
Before he laid down on me like this, he just was like, he had that big smile he gets. Oh, he's such a good dog.
They're happy to be a part of the show.
I don't know where Ro is, but
so without
pets at my house, I like animals, but I like my friends having animals, not me having them.
Yeah. That's a lot of people. A lot of people don't even prefer having them at all, or
Yeah. No, like I love animals, but I don't like the responsibility of taking care of them and cleaning up after them. So I'm like, I'll just go to my friends' houses who have pets and then interact with them.
Right.
This kid.
It's probably. I mean, that's a good way to live vicariously with the animals. I mean, if you like cats and you have a friend that has a big cuddly cat, it works just as well to just like go hang out every now and then.
Yeah.
Get your dose of cat.
I remember when I was a little kid, one of my favorites, I would visit my grandparents, and my one of my great uncles, they had a horse named Carrots, and it would stay at my grandparents' place, and like Carrots and I were good friends. So
I love it.
even
Hey,
though
Ro.
I was like a 5-year-old, that horse loved me, and I love that horse. So.
I love that horse too.
It would be cool to have a pet horse, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Then my grandparents, they had their own horse. Its name was Duster, but it thought it was a cow.
That's
Aww.
our dog thinks he's like one dog literally thinks he's a human, and the other one thinks he's a cat. I swear to God. Yeah.
Rollable, come here.
That horse Duster was pretty funny because he would just go wherever their cow herd went, and he acted just like a cow all the time.
Yeah. That's amazing. So as far as the cryptozoology, lay some Yeti stuff on us.
Okay, so what do you want to know?
Oh boy.
Well, I kind of laid out with the orcs where I would put my Yetis and kind of where I have. So without spoiling anything, where would you?
Can I interrupt to say one thing?
In fiction?
So Rollo came up here and Orcus immediately got up to go get a toy because he's going to play with it to make Rollo jealous, to steal or to bring the attention off of Rollo. Like they're so jealous, and so now Rollo's staring at him like, "Oh, you got that toy?" And then he's like stalking Orcus now.
Their dogs are hilarious.
Anyway, okay, sorry. I just wanted to point out what was happening.
But yeah, in your fiction, where would you kind of like have some?
So I have a new urban fantasy work in progress I'm working on, and there actually is a Sasquatch in there. So
hell yeah.
In this one, in my fiction, it's what I would call an in-between creature or a like blurry creature.
Oh, okay.
So they're basically ones that are like almost elementals in this world.
That leads me into a theory I heard about.
Maybe that's what tried to break into Bat Sauce's house.
Yep, Sam Square.
You had a Yeti come into your place.
Yep.
Dog scared it away. He was about to grab his boomstick, I believe. And there's some great comments always.
Got a boogaloo.
And yes, Alexander is the host of everything. Oh man.
Yeah.
And earlier, I saw like Richard jump in, like from Iron Age Media. We got like that chat, and like really thank you everybody for coming and like joining us tonight. It's fantastic.
Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving it. And I also love Kahuna because he just always squeals until I get uncomfortable and leave too.
Yeah.
That's a great comment.
So the in-between creature, the blurry creature. Can you tell us anything about that? About that concept? Like,
I think in real life, I think there's like a lot of things. Like, I've been studying more. I'm a Christian, and I've been studying some more esoteric theology and whatnot. And basically, I kind of got captivated by the idea, like just how God created the earth, and there's millions of animals here. That that the spiritual world isn't just like, 2 or 3 small things. There might be, millions of subsets of angels and spiritual creatures. And, there's also like in Christian theology, like a third of the heavenly creatures fell with Satan. So that might be millions of different varieties of things.
Well,
and I think,
mosquitoes.
In real life, I'm halfway torn between Sasquatch being just a ape creature because there's fossil evidence for that, and also there's a lot of stories about just Bigfoot suddenly disappearing or having supernatural powers. So I think It might,
Yeah.
some of it might be just like an ape. Some of it might be like a forest, like spirit thing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the fossil evidence? Because I have not heard of that.
So actually here in China, they found teeth in like some other parts, I think it was like of the skull or something. And there was this giant ape called the Gigantopithecus, and it got to like 8 to 10 feet tall and walked upright. And it was basically, how they describe it is almost exactly like how people describe Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And
So,
I apologize
that's
if
like-
you have already told us this, because you might have on the other stream. I have a really bad. I have forgotten that we had certain people on our show before.
Yeah.
No problem. I got stage 3 Lyme disease in my early 20s, and it messed with my, thought to speech process a lot and my memory, surprisingly, and just a little bit of brain infection can really,
really screw you up.
Yeah, anyway, so there's like, I'll remember the most random things, and sometimes I have a really good memory about whatever, but yeah, sometimes it's just like I'll forget things that you would not think I would forget, like a whole guest on our show. I was telling Andy we should have a certain person on our show, and he's like, we already did. I'm like, what? When? With so and so? What? And I had no memory of that. That's crazy. Anyway,
so
this good Garjampulus, what is it called?
Gigantopithecus.
She's like, I can't see Teotihuacan.
Teotihuacan.
I've been there.
Teotihuacan.
That's close enough. It's better than.
Welcome, baby orcs. Welcome back.
Yeah, that's the fossil evidence for it, right? Like that's the actual, that's like one of the
camera?
links. So that would be like what you're referring to as an in-between, but like in more than one way. It's also like almost interdimensional or spiritual in a way.
Yeah, because a lot of people describe like encounters with them. They'll say they'll literally just disappear, or like there's a lot of weird sightings where people see Sasquatches and UFOs together, and that's a lot of really weird stuff, and some people say they're like spiritual creatures. So I'm kind of the mind that there's like two different entities. One is actually just an ape creature, and one is kind of like some spiritual creature that's taken the form of the ape-like creature.
That was the theory that I heard the other day.
Booty.
They were basically talking about how basically what if the reason that you don't see any of them and they're like here and gone so quickly or whatever is because they're more of like a spiritual or like interdimensional type creature that is kind of like temporarily appearing in this place at that time, where they're like physically there, so they leave footprints, but just temporarily because they're, I don't know, like an echo in time or something, and just something we don't understand. That was fascinating because I don't even know how that would work, but it checks out, as far as like, okay, yeah, I can see that that's not as ridiculous as like other things, but okay, yeah. Brian, he's got some dope stuff going on. I can't wait to read Record of the Paladins.
Glad to see there's a Yeti in Record of the Paladins too.
Is there?
What the fuck is happening here?
There was. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, so also here, we'll just start here. Bum.
Yeah.
Oh wait, sorry, I meant to hit this one.
Wink, wink. Whiticus giganticus. We read that too.
I think he's bringing up my other book, but I'm not sure.
I don't knock people for being interested in the Bigfoot because I do love the really bad documentaries about it. I agree. I mean, those are entertaining. Pure like cinema.
And we can't wait to read McCoppin, but well, we can't read. God, I can't talk. He just messes me up so hard when I hear that. It's like, we can't wait to read all of the books, but McCoppin, we really can't wait to get to yours. And he started reading John Douglas's book without me, and I got really pissed. It's like, no, we're reading them together, so why don't you just say you want to read that first? But it's because it's so big, he just wants to start digging into it. But yeah, we can also read multiple at a time. But I can't believe my husband. What a jerk!
Yeah, I haven't read much with my wife because English is her second language, so she understands a good bit, but like reading novels is a little difficult for her.
Yeah, it might help her though. Oh.
Yeah, I started reading one of my books to her, so that was before I lost my Kindle. So
you lost your Kindle?
Yep, lost it on the train.
Aw, that's a bummer. I'm sorry to hear that. We got okay, so this might turn into a little lengthy gripe, but just hear me out. We're under my dad's phone plan because he gets a discount from work, but I decided it's time for us to, especially with trying to rebuild our credit after everything, to get our own phone plan because they had to pull our credit and everything for our home internet. So I'm like, well, let's just get phone plans too. So we got new phones and they're like, well, you get a third line free. What about your son? And I'm like, my son is not even 2. He does not need a cell phone. She's like, well, I'll give him a kid's tablet. And I'm like, perfect, because we FaceTime or video message my mother-in-law with him. I'm like, that would be great to have a tablet so he can see grandma better than on a little phone. Like, awesome, right? So, and then, Andy and I can use it for whatever if we want. My laptop's kind of broken, so he doesn't really have the interest in the tablet like I do. But
the tablet's kind of nice for looking stuff up, like while we're streaming too.
So it's like, I don't know if it's Alcatel or Alcatel, but it's called a Joy Tab Kids 2 or something, like Joy Tab Kids 2.
Yeah.
It has kids in the name. It came with TikTok downloaded on it. Snapchat.
Snapchat.
No restrictions. And then it said I had to sign into a Microsoft account. So I do. And then the second I go to Google, what comes up but my phone search history?
Her phone search history. Because it's tied to her account. So that means if she would have just signed into her account and then like handed it off to her kid, not thinking, right? Like your toddler.
He just has access to everything.
Here's all of your parents' search history and stuff. Here's TikTok. Here's Snapchat.
Here's Google for porn.
Unlimited internet access.
Whatever.
Have at it. Yeah.
It's crazy though. And she was talking about it like it's a normal thing to get your kids, your 2-year-old, a tablet.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
we would totally be the parents that are, you're not getting a cell phone until you're 16 and you can drive and work and and then you're going to be out driving. So it makes sense to have a cell phone in case you break down. We would be those parents, but no one has the landline anymore. So what are we, I'm sure he can start out using our phone, but at some point we're going to have to be like, okay, you're 8, you're 11, what do we do? It's just like a time that we have not had before.
Like what a lot of parents do here in China is they just have the watch phone and it can basically only do like call. And I think it has like WeChat so you can like buy stuff with it. Like, so they'll use that. But that's basically all they have. So like for me with my little dude, we only let him look at the screen if we're calling family. Basically, that's unless we're video chatting family. 90% of the time, we don't let him look at any screen.
Yeah.
So
well, we let him watch TV. Like that's what he's doing right now while we do this, or he's.
No, I put him in the room. He's reading now.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, never mind. I don't know what my own son's doing.
That's why he's so quiet. He likes reading.
Yeah, he trashes his room so hard too. But he like he'll watch some TV and everything like that, but we're pretty picky about what he watches too. There's a lot of stuff where it's like he'll start screaming or acting.
This day and age.
Yeah, or he'll like act more irritable and crabby. It's like visibly noticed sometimes with what they watch, how it's like, wow, what's your problem? You're acting like a little brat.
Dopamine flood.
You got to stop watching that show.
Yeah.
But sometimes, we'll try different things.
Sometimes, like, when he's going to watch something, I'll just, like, put, like, specific music on one tab, you know, and then I'll mute, like, flying over Europe, you know, flying over New Zealand, you know, for 12 hours.
Aquarium stuff.
And I'll mute, or sea like, life. See ocean life. That's really cool. That gets his attention. All the colorful fish and stuff. He's just like,
he loves the like baby animals, whatever.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool sometimes because it's like I can be like classical music,
and then he's learning about animals and
good stuff.
It is so amazing being a parent. I love it so much.
It blows my mind though how he has such a stronger preference for like books. Like it is so crazy. When we have his room freshly cleaned and tidied up, I'll set him down in there and I'll watch. He goes right for his little Lego box, pulls it open, tosses a few of them out, and then remembers that the books are there, stands up, and then walks past all of his toys and goes to his little book corner and just starts looking through stuff and reading. It's just
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
My little dude isn't that big yet, but I'm pretty proud of him. Like he can't even speak yet, but he understands a lot, like in English and Chinese.
Yeah,
so like
cool.
We didn't teach him this, but the other day my wife was like, "Give me a kiss." In Chinese, and then he just gave my wife a kiss.
Aww, I love
and then
that.
I'm like, "Here, give daddy a kiss," and he comes and goes like this.
Yep. For a while there, ours was just like leaning his forehead forward. Yeah, I think so many people kissed him on the forehead that he's just like, okay, you may kiss the forehead.
Yeah.
Kiss the forehead.
Well,
That's
because there's a lot of people that don't. I mean, I wouldn't kiss anyone else's child on the lips in a million years. I just wouldn't. But like, if grandma or my brother-in-law and his wife kiss him on the lips, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're close family, and his brother. Well, I guess I don't have to name them. His brother and his wife are his godparents. So if anything ever happens to Andy and I, they're taking him and they treat him like their very own. They love him so much. They would, not saying they have nothing, but if they had nothing, they would make sure he got what he needs. They're amazing. So, I trust them.
I definitely get that. Like, speaking of God family, I saw you, I was on Twitter the other day and I saw you liked one of my things, but the band As I Lay Dying?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old guitarist, his cousins are my god brothers.
I saw that. That's so cool. I still haven't messaged you because I was like, we all have like a story relating to that band. But mine was just like, didn't feel like typing it out. It's kind of well, I guess I can't really say it in public because of what it is. It's actually like pretty heavy, serious stuff. But I'm actually gonna message it to you right now while it's on my mind.
Yeah.
So, and like I'll tell anyone that, and like our, you guys in the comments, if anyone wants to know what my story is, just out of curiosity, I'm totally okay saying it. It's just for probably legal reasons I can't say anything.
Yeah, just reach out to them. But that band has been through a lot of turmoil, hasn't it? But it's just like one of those classics, one of the greats, that started it. It started some of it,
I had a retweet that I didn't hit send. So it was to celebrate the release of my newest novel, An Unexpected Adventure. I'm giving away the ebook of my novel, Red Skies. So everyone who wants a freebie, I already got mine, and retweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I can talk
Yeah,
about that
thank
one a
you.
little bit if you want.
Yeah, Red
Do it
Skies.
right now.
Yeah, Red Skies it up, man.
Yeah, so
Shoot.
that one, that's one of the ones I just got an idea for a line for like a story, and I just had like the first sentence of the story. Basically, I got that, and then I just built a story around the first sentence of the story. But
Gotta love it.
basically, the idea is it's set in a floating city, and in this world there's floating city states. They're basically held aloft by nuclear powered balloons, by nuclear powered zeppelins. So it's like a floating zeppelin city state, and
Hell yeah.
the rest is steampunk, just nuclear powered
Yeah.
balloons, because why not?
Yeah.
Why not is like the best reason ever.
Yeah,
Mm,
you're gonna need something on a nuclear scale to support a whole city state.
yeah.
For sure.
But
For sure.
yeah, basically in this story, it's about this young guy named Tobias, and he gets framed for the murder of his father because he comes home and finds his dad dead with his name written in blood.
Oh.
And like his dad wrote his own name in blood, but it was actually a message. And yeah, nuke balloons, the best.
Best.
Thorium powered nuke balloons.
Orium?
Thorium.
Thorium. Is that a real
Yeah.
world element?
Yes,
Cool.
it's a real world thing. They haven't made it work well yet, but it's basically clean, non-radioactive nuclear energy, or very minimally radioactive. So it's clean nuclear energy. It's just hard to do, so that's why we don't have it in real life much.
Yeah, I mean, if we had that, I mean, not to say people wouldn't gatekeep it, but like, I'm sure, I mean, somebody would, yeah. I mean, when you start thinking about all the stuff we probably do have, it gets kind of like, well, it gets kind of brain melting a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like,
no, I know some people who've had research labs burned down, so.
Yep.
So, yeah. But yeah, basically in Red Skies, he gets framed for the murder of his dad, and the Sky Marshals are chasing him. He's like one of the most wanted men in the city state. But he finds out that, you know, some of the higher ups in the government are helping run a human trafficking ring.
Oh.
And so he has to stop them.
You gotta. Whenever you hear about it, you gotta. Protagonist. That's the call to adventure. Nice hat,
Thanks
guys.
about the hats.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I got this one on Taobao.
I got this one as a gift from my lovely wife today, actually. She
Nice.
got the medicine
I
hat.
found it for $10 at a gas station. $10, and I could have passed it up. I'm like, that's so Andy.
A lot of times too, when you get like the graphic on the inside here, they like charge you for that. You know what I mean? Like, and the whole design is actually pretty good. So.
Yeah, I have this really cool green hat. Actually, like two of my favorite hats are green hats, but it's really sad because I can't wear them in China now that I'm married.
What? Wait, you can't wear green? You can't wear green hats?
In China, if you're married and you wear a green hat, it means your wife is cheating on you, or your spouse is cheating on you.
So people willingly put on green hats to like declare that? Like,
yeah, I don't know exactly why. I think it's to like shame their cheating partner or something. But like, it's just an old cultural thing. If you're married and wear a green hat, you're being cheated on, which is a bummer because like two of my favorite hats I have are green, and I'm like, well, I can't wear them. But
yeah, is your is it the same way, like, so in Korea it's socially acceptable to cheat? For example, if you brought your mistress out, not that you have one because I know you don't, but if you had a mistress and brought you could go hang out with your wife's coworkers and they wouldn't tell her. Like, it's that socially acceptable in Korea. It might be changing nowadays too.
I heard back in like 2011 that in Japan, again, man, I love culture for real. It's just so fascinating. But in Japan, some things, yeah. I mean, just like it's something to talk about. But like, in Japan, apparently socially acceptable to acquire a lady of the evening in one of their 1 hour hotels. They have hotels that you book by the hour. And it's fine as long as you pay with money and not your heart, as the Japanese put it. You pay with money and not your heart. Yeah, I mean, so it's like, I'm sure it's way different now because like, but like maybe it's not in some ways. That would be like trad Japanese, right? Or whatever.
Yeah. No, I've definitely heard some people say, like, even girls, like girlfriends, they're like, oh, if they pay for one of those people, it's not cheating.
Yeah, which I obviously disagree, but I mean, culture's fascinating. Yeah. Kahuna says green hat.
A lot of it's. I don't think it's as acceptable as it sounds like Korea is, but there's a lot of cheating and things like that. They're just like, oh yeah, having a shaosar, like that's pretty normal.
Mm-hmm. So, which I mean, like, you can see in the animal kingdom that some animals. Hold this thought. This is leading into interesting conversation. Kahuna says green hat glued to head. He would have had it glued to his head. I had,
Sorry, man.
I know. It's like, ooh, sorry, Kahuna, but fantastic joke, honestly. I was gonna say, in the animal kingdom, you see certain animals have like these harems of mates.
Yeah.
So it's not the most like unnatural thing I will say, but like for humans, it's like there's a different understanding, and I mean, to each their own. For starters, definitely I don't agree with it, but like,
yeah, I mean, like
whatever. I think it's always been there, is what I'm saying.
There's definitely interesting things with that, like especially like I live right next to Tibet, and like Tibetan culture, like having multiple spouses is still a thing with some of the nomads, and also like certain nomadic groups of Tibetans, like the woman will just have sex with a bunch of dudes, and it's just like, yeah, you're just expected to have like 5 boyfriends and one will be the father of your kid,
And that's the lucky winner, I guess, or no, I got you. Hold on. No, like 5 partners, and then like one of them happens to also be, oh, that's my dad partner. That's my daddy. My baby daddy.
Yeah, baby daddy. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Brian says Boston Celtics fans should not vacation in China with his wife.
Yep. It's interesting. Like now that I know this, it's kind of weird looking at like Chinese Asian Americans, and I'm like, oh, you're just like wearing Celtics gear like it's nothing, things like that. I'm like, I wonder if they know the culture, the green hat culture here in China.
It's bizarre how things like that work sometimes. Like people, like, how did that become a thing?
Have you heard about the right hand thing in the Middle East?
So much.
I might have, but I'd need a refresher.
If you go to, if somebody from the West, allegedly, right? Because this kind of popped up after 9/11, anecdotally from like, I don't even remember. I was a kid, but allegedly, you go to shake somebody's hand in the Middle East with your right hand, they get all offended because that's the hand that they wipe with.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't think it is. I think it's just a thing.
A shitty American rumor.
Right. I think it's just like an after 9/11 thing. But I mean, there could be something with like the hand they greet people with. I know when Saddam Hussein fell, maybe I shouldn't even say names, but like when he fell, there was a lot of this. I know it's for sure an insult to show somebody the bottom of your shoe. You point to the bottom of your shoe, you're saying you're like beneath me, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like the middle finger for us. And like when so and so fell, you know, there was a lot of people like hitting his statue with their shoes and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get it, Kahuna. The green hat would be glued to your head.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
man.
no, like with that, in a lot of Middle Eastern cultures, like they view personhood by like shoes. Like if you don't have shoes, you aren't like a full citizen. You aren't a full person. So
See, I don't find the
at
connection
least
there.
that's what it was in ancient times.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's like a status symbol, right? At that point, like a fancy hat or, you know.
Yeah, basically,
So-
like a shoe was almost like a sign of you're like you aren't a slave. You're like a full citizen.
I have shoes. Leave me alone. I have shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
It's like the Hispanics hitting each other with the chanclas or whatever.
Mm.
Isn't that their flip flops? And they hit
Yeah.
their kids with them.
Chocolate. Yep.
Chancla.
Middle Eastern people are probably horrified seeing those videos. Like, oh my goodness.
Well, I
Look at
I
that.
don't agree with it
You know,
personally.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's
Anybody
like in
should.
Thailand,
Okay.
getting kicked with the heel of the foot to the face. That's super rude. So like
Mhm.
they'll do it in the Muay Thai fights, but even then it's like kind of just like an insulting move to like insult your opponent. But
I think it's really
yeah,
insulting.
you
to
never
spit
do
in
it in
people's-
training.
I think it's insulting to spit in people's faces or like spit on
Hmm.
people.
I think that's a universal thing too.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
pretty
sure.
that's
Who would
universal.
want that?
Yeah, any culture you spit in their face on, any human culture you spit in their face, they're gonna be offended. Nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, thank you." It's not like this is Dune, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my super abusive ex spit in my face once.
Yeah.
True story. And he has a song where he screams "spit in my face."
Yeah.
So it's hilarious because we say he channeled his future wife, and
Yeah, I probably wrote that around the time it was happening to her.
yeah.
Mm.
We figured it out at one point.
So
And Brian's right. There's no place where a heel to face is polite.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
right.
think at least Brian, like Brian does martial arts. Like it's not as rude to like do it in sparring, like just push kick, aiming at the face, doing it light. But like in Muay Thai, that's super rude.
I think I got it. It's almost like kicking somebody in the nads. That's an exaggerated version, obviously, but like I'm assuming it like breaks some social thing like that, where it's like, "Hey, bro, what the hell, bro? You healing my face? You healing my face over here? We're trying to fight." You know what I mean?
oh, he just is chewing on his paws. Your pillow is soaked.
Yeah.
Dang it, Ro.
That's
Rollable. Hey, chew on your bone.
Nads is -1 point. So
Chew on your bone.
then you get the trolls. Then you get the trolls that participate and they just go for like, my goal is -300.
I'm gonna go.
We've
check
all seen
on
those
him.
trolls on like Call of Duty and stuff.
He's too quiet.
John Douglas says,
Like Call of
still
Duty.
listening at work. Thank you, John. Thank you for joining us at the pub. And thank you, everybody else. Please remember to like and subscribe to stay up to date at the Pritchard pub. We also release other stuff like with my books. And
Yeah.
gonna do
Check out Spirit Animals and buy Mortal Descent and buy my books too.
Yes. By as the hedge would say right here, as if summoned by Harris himself. Buy my book. That's Herman.
Yes, Hedge. Buy my book, dang it.
Herman P. Hunter, words of wisdom right there. So, John, BP, topless while listening. Hey, wouldn't want it any other way, brother. Honestly.
Are you fishing for manatee? Had to think of a thing.
Manatee is famously what people try to like. That's what everybody says. They mistakenly saw mermaids, like that. They just saw a manatee as like a beautiful mermaid or whatever. Oh, those sailors, man.
If you're into like big bone ladies. I kind of get it, but
It doesn't explain the really old paintings where they're like, I don't know, beautiful or whatever, or
Yeah.
at least like
Well,
siren-esque.
there's an interesting theory about that. Like, there's some interesting fun theories about that. Yes, I did, Herman. Buy my book, dang it.
Buy my book. That's good advice.
My old Shaoshua, okay?
Yeah, what he said.
I don't.
It sounds powerful.
Yeah, I said buy my book in Chinese.
Yeah. I figured something. You
Well,
could say
buy my
anything by my novel.
Maybe.
I mean, that's actually a more clear description of what it is.
Yep.
Tonight is sheep's head.
Come on,
Like head cheese? Like that
Like,
kind?
Here.
is that like sheep's head soup or just like a beer or something?
Oh, I could see a beer, yeah. Or like a
'Cause
type of mead.
Here in Qinghai, that would actually mean you bought a sheep's head and you're eating sheep's
Yeah.
head, because that's a thing here.
So I saw this video.
Qinghai o Pango, yeah. Didn't I sound like Chinese? But I'm not.
I didn't hear you clear. You'd have to say that again.
I don't know what I said. Well, I didn't say anything. But
Say it again and see if. Say it again.
Kahuna's way too distracting. Look at this motherfucker.
All right.
Oh, howdy,
I know some
friends.
Korean though. Kwanchum upseo.
안녕하세요.
Sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Are you guys talking about? Oh yeah, I told Michael the other day.
감사합니다. Wencho, wencho.
Je m'appelle Andre.
Tu m'appelles poop poop.
Excuse me. Pardon me. No.
Pardon.
How you guys
I
doing?
can introduce myself in Mongolian.
Yes, do it.
Do it.
Do you just raise an axe or what?
Yes. Yes.
Michael.
Say it again.
Sambaino. Mininer Zev. That's my Mongolian name.
I like it.
Oh, okay.
It sounds Mongolian, and I dig it.
My Mongolian name means like arrowhead.
Ah,
So-
that's
Oh,
badass.
I'm on a quest to collect all the names in all the languages. I think
I'm
so
so
far I
jealous.
have like
You have a lot. Yeah.
nine names, something like
can't-
that.
I can't give you a proper Welsh name because I can't pronounce a single proper Welsh word. It's
You don't speak the devil's tongue?
I guess not. The Druid language is lost to me, sir.
It's like Krimwinderfugishim. I don't know.
It sounds awesome. Don't get me wrong, but you put a word written down, I'm just like, where do I start with
Yeah.
that? It's almost like Russian to me, you know. I don't
Yeah.
know where to start with that either.
It's like, what does
let's
backwards
see.
KKK mean? I don't know.
What is this word? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get names in all the languages. So if you have a Hawaiian name for me, Kahuna, bring it on.
I can give you one, but it's not an arbitrary thing. It takes a little bit of time. I have to. I actually have to know you before I can give you a Hawaiian name. It's not
Hey,
just
I
like-
don't have
I'll
a
be
Chinese
waiting.
one yet. I have a Chinese one or Mandarin or whatever it is.
Don't
Nice.
you mean
What is it?
Mandarin? No.
Woman. Yeah.
No, you gave Andy one, but I don't have one.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you have one. I didn't.
No.
I heard that too. Yeah.
I think, what is Andy's? I think I gave you like Wang Tsun.
Yeah, I can't remember how it was pronounced. I'd have to backtrack on our gilded messages. It's like one of the first messages.
You
Yeah.
could just, Katie, you could just steal like the English version of the Chinese female names from the old Bruce Lee movies. This is Chow Mein, anyway.
Suzuki Kamawa.
Wrong country, man.
Yeah,
It's like, do I speak Spanish? Well, yes, I do. Quesadilla.
Quesadilla.
Tortilla. Burrito. I know Spanish. Anyway.
San Francisco.
Some quesadillas. Some
Taco.
burritos.
Michael has it, yeah.
San Juan. I can speak Mexican. San Juan.
Anyway, I was hanging out with my
Do you
buddy
know
down
what
there, Josie.
That's
we're-
muy malo. Muy malo.
Kuyan. Kuyan. I'm gonna say my
Yeah.
Cajun name is Kuyan.
You're
Just I know what it
such a
means, but that's
boy,
why I'm gonna say it.
Loki.
Yeah, one of my Chinese nicknames is directly translates to little baby bunny, but
Cute.
it's Chinese. It's slang for little bastard.
Oh,
Make sure the front door is unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
shout
locked.
to Zaza. It's slang for
So-
little bastard. I got that from
What?
one of my friends. I was teaching martial arts because she wanted me to teach her some martial arts, and every time she dropped her hands, I would just softly whack her in the forehead and be like, "Keep your hands up! Keep your hands up!"
you got a reminder. Yeah, it's like all the UFC fighters or mixed martial artists who drop their
Wait,
hands.
are
when
we
they're
not
boxing.
muted then?
Not muted.
Oh,
Not
that's why you
100%.
whispered.
There we go. Just messing with you.
Hmm.
Oh, so where were you before I hopped on? I was telling my kids to stop yelling and fall asleep. I'm sure it's working.
Hmm. Where were we? We were talking about different cultures, and I think we were just talking about different names. You hopped right in, hopped in right when I was starting to talk about that.
That's cool. Yeah, no, with my the fantasy book that I wrote back in the day.
Such a good boy,
All-
bro.
it was based in a group of an island chain, kind of like Hawaii, but each island it like combines either Hawaiian, Tongan, or Samoan language with another culture's language. And so like one of the characters, his name was Hoku, which is Metis is meteor in Greek, and then Hoku is star in Hawaiian. So it was it was all names kind of like that. It was fun. Tim Allen says cryptids. Let's get back to him. What's the cryptid that you guys hear and it just immediately like you want to die because you don't want to hear about it any longer? Is there one that you guys are tired of hearing about? You just think is complete horseshit?
Not. I wouldn't call it a cryptid, but like zombies are way too overplayed. Like I check out 90% of the time when I hear zombies or vampires.
It for me it depends. I
No one's noticed yet.
Tim
No.
Allen says cryptids. Let's get back to him.
At least no one said anything. Okay, so no one has noticed, and I'm kind of disappointed. We made a huge change over here at Pritchard Pub, you guys.
you moved, yeah.
No, it's something else.
You turn the lights, or no, the red lights are back on now.
No, it's actually kind of a big deal.
Andy got breast implants. What is it?
You weren't supposed to tell people.
Sorry, my bad. Oh,
Jeez.
hello, small child.
Yes! Whoever Cinemodium is, yes. We will never be ripping each other's earphones out ever again.
Well, that one you guys told me before the stream, so.
Oh, I didn't. But yeah, the fireplace is litty. Litty like Andy's new titties.
Yep.
We did trade brains too, by the way.
We poop our brains back and forth forever.
Yeah, and we whatever he just said. Back to the cryptids, I guess. Since what I want to look for the Beast of Bray Road. All right. Does anyone know what that is?
I do. Beast of Bray Road is the Dogman. So I think it's in Michigan. It's like the most famous Michigan cryptid. It's like the Dogman, but it's specifically mostly seen on this one road called Bray Road.
I've heard of that one. That was like
Yeah.
that was intriguing.
Heard of the Dogman, so I think we could all assemble a team and go look. I'm totally down. Dude, okay. We live in Wisconsin now, and I actually had a dream fairly recently. It was, a handful of months ago about a werewolf. So it was creepy. So the lights went out in our house, and like the power was out, and for some reason in the dream we were like, well, let's leave because the power's out, which we wouldn't do. But you know, it was late at night and I was about to go out, and Andy like stops me. He's like, don't, and he pointed, and there was like a werewolf like going back and forth under the streetlight at the end of the road, and it was freaking creepy. And then it was like trying to lure us out or something with the power situation. I don't know. It was of course a dream. So it was. So we ended up like locking ourselves in the house and hiding in the basement. And I woke up. But werewolves freak me out.
You're lucky to actually remember your dreams, though. I only remember one, and maybe I remember maybe one dream every 5 or 6 years, and that's it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's in Wisconsin.
Oh, it's in Wisconsin. I get those two mixed up.
Oh yeah, so Katie, you guys may be in the vicinity of
a werewolf and dog. Oh man. Man.
Then there's like all the weird Hawaiian ones. There's this one on Maui that they say the statue will turn and follow you during certain times, like in the evening.
Sometimes they just look like that, but
China has
they bleed and stuff too.
One. There's a lake in Xinjiang, and it actually it has these giant lake monsters, and it's actually been on national news. They like caught video of it, like the news program did. It's supposed to be like this giant, like 30-foot long fish in this lake in the middle of Xinjiang.
Wow.
There's
there's
always a bigger fish.
The stuff. See, okay, so this is why I really actually am fascinated with like watching like cryptid videos or like paranormal videos. I'll just say to just like have the blanket statement there, because it's like, sure, you get the shaky cell phone camera footage all the time, sure, but you also get the body cam footage from the cop. You get the news anchor footage from multiple angles. You get thousands of witnesses to the same event. You know, there's all kinds of stuff like that like, yeah, you put up with, you run the chance of like running into a bunk one, but you also like, there's a chance of like finding like a super legit, at least it seems legit, unless like you just said, the news is in on it or something. Those are just fascinating to me. So.
Yeah. I haven't seen any cryptids, but I've seen some out of place animals. Like I saw a mountain lion twice in Nebraska.
That's awesome. I saw one in Isanti County, Minnesota, and then the DNR was like, oh, they don't have breeding grounds here. They're not in Minnesota. And there have been so many sightings since then, too.
Yeah.
I don't know why they lie about that.
Yeah, I think they lie because, like, farming and things like that, and people, like, it hurts the economy. Like, people would freak out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that.
It's the government. They gotta lie.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, too.
Were you gonna say something, Kahuna?
Oh, well, I'm just thinking about like Hawaiian ones that are actually compelling versus you know, most of the others. There is one. It's not really a cryptid, even though they put it in the same category. There was supposedly these ancient people, the original Hawaiians, not the people who sailed there in the first place. The Menehune is how I was going to ask you about what they're called. And it's like there's evidence that they existed, but then there's so much evidence that they existed, but then there's some really weird evidence like that should also be there and isn't, like bones and things of that nature too. They have these ancient structures and ancient kind of projects that were done in Hawaii, maybe hundreds and up to 500 or even 1,000 years before the original Hawaiian, like the Hawaiians that we know went there, the Polynesians. Yeah. And they talked about these tiny people that were very strong but very small, and they have all these ancient system, like these ancient kind of buildings and systems or the remnants of them, and they're like, we don't know how they did it. It doesn't make any sense. Right? Like back then, it's like it'd be like finding the base of a pyramid or something like that.
Yeah.
But, and much like you know, speaking of pyramids, much like the Egyptians, like the oldest Hawaiians, their stories talk about finding those people here already. Like you said, the original Hawaiians. That's the thing to stress. That makes it so weird. Like, yeah, they're supposedly looked like this and such and such. No. When humans came, there was people there already. There was stuff there already. That's the thing. It's so fascinating.
And it's like this stuff, the stuff that still exists. I've talked to historians that said there used to be more stuff back in the day, and the Hawaiians talk about things that aren't there. The old ancient Hawaiians talked about things that are no longer there in regards to like structures. But yeah, like these enormous projects that would have been very, very hard to do without like tools and mechanics and things of that nature. These massive projects. And all the Hawaiians have are basically, it's just on the north, like upper side of being a rumor of the Menehune. These tiny little dark-skinned people who did not look Polynesian at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's interesting
It's like the Hobbit people of forgot the name of the island. Yeah. It's in Indonesia. That's usually what I say, but I just heard the name of the island the other day. I was trying to remember it, but
Java or Bali or
something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll never remember it. All that matters is they're like 3 feet tall. Like,
yeah, I've heard about those.
They're almost described as like people with dwarfism, except that they're not quite that. Like their heads were weirdly shaped, and then their bodies were small, but they were very rounded and like very firm people because they were very strong despite their size.
So basically, they were hobbits.
Yeah. I think maybe possibly a little different, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like
They
hobbits
were
in the hood,
black
right,
hobbits.
or something. And it's like, yeah, growing up, all the Hawaiian kids are like told like, don't go out in the woods in the middle of the night. The Menehune will get you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd always talk about stuff like that.
Yeah. Here in China, there's definitely some interesting stuff. There's like the legends of the moon people, which were also
I've
like
heard about that a little bit, not very much.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
They were like fair-skinned, blue-eyed people who lived in the mountains, like in the mountains of northwest China. That like dwelt in caves. Yeah. Sometimes I can't English well.
Like the Celtics had periods of migration during different parts of history. I wonder if it could have been something like that, like maybe some Celtic people or some northern people worked their way really far east.
I think it could have been like some Scythian tribes or something like that, because they actually have mummies from like Xinjiang of white redheads, and like I've been mistaken for being from Xinjiang by local Chinese on a few occasions. So like I think the moon people in China might have been like a Scythian tribe or something like that. And
it kind of makes sense because like you see certain pockets in certain areas that where the characteristics of the locals are so different. You're like, there was a mixture somewhere a long time ago that made for some very unusual people, or just how genetic kind of lineage works. Like there's that one tribe in Africa where your average man is like 6'7" or 6'6".
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. And the women are like also like 6 foot, 6'2".
Yeah, there's a tribe in Madagascar that's like Afro-Asian, and a lot of people think that they were ancient Chinese explorers went there and married in. So there's like some Afro-Asian Madagascarian, whatever.
Call them lemurs. That's fine.
What's that?
Lemurian?
Lemurians, yeah.
Lemurians. So I have two thoughts. I heard you guys talking about like I know that's two more than normal. So I heard you guys talking about like, what was it? Redheaded something
in China, like
redheaded Chinese people,
like redhead.
Yeah, like the mummies of redheaded Chinese people.
That's so weird, man. Okay, and because like only that like all originates from like Europe or something, you know what I mean? So there's like who knows how far back that actually goes, because like that's the mainstream, right? Is like everybody with like red and blonde hair is like kind of in this region. That's not to say that you can't get like albino people or whatever, but I don't actually fully understand that either. But yeah, just fascinating. You see that popping up through history on like
if you want a nice fun rabbit hole, look up the history of red-headed giants.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
the giants are.
I've gone down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that appears all the way around the world. I'm of the opinion that it's like my thoughts on that is I think that they were actually real, and they were like 8 to like 13-foot giants. And
well, the Bible talks about that, so
like,
they exist in some form or another.
Yeah,
a lot of cultures actually talk about giants.
Yeah, if you read
like
the Bible during Joshua's time, basically, like during the Joshua's time, basically God was like exterminate all these people in the Promised Land. But when you read into it, it was actually tribes of like giants and tribes, basically giant tribes. And so when God's telling exterminate them, they were like, they're known all over the world as like cannibals. So it was exterminating tribes of giant cannibals. And some researchers think that they basically fled from Joshua's extermination of them in the Bible times and fled all over the world. And that's why you see it in the Americas, you see it in like in Europe and all sorts of places, just all these legends of red-headed cannibal giants.
Yeah, giants are fascinating. And then like the lost tribes of Israel and stuff. Have you heard stuff on
that? Some. There's some interesting stuff with that. I haven't looked into that as much. Yeah,
there's I think it goes as deep as like apparently some of them wound up in like the Americas, you know what I mean? It's one of those, it's like one of those theories that's like you could almost rationalize anything with it. Like, it was just one of the lost tribes of Israel or whatever.
Yeah, that's one of the ones why I haven't dug into that much. That's just one that like everybody and their mom is like, we're the lost tribes of Israel.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff to it, I will say. But it's almost like the Lost Roman Legion. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, the Ninth Legion.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that's just like lore sauce right there, if I've ever heard it.
Well,
Roman Legion.
Also, have you guys ever read the what's his name? The March of the 10,000 by Xenophon?
No.
It's the closest thing we have to a first-person account. It's a translation of a first-person account of an army of Macedonians and Greeks that was raised by a conquering nation to go fight a war in a foreign country far to the east. And they get there, negotiate, and then they're like, oh, I guess we don't have to fight now. It's like, well, how do we get back? They're like, oh, not our problem. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, like, 10,000 men stuck like a year and a half journeys away from home with no idea of how to get back and no help.
Yeah.
And so a poet in the army who had been raised as a soldier took ownership of the army, became a general, and led them back through war, famine, and circular motions until they finally got back home. And it's called the March of the 10,000. And I'm like, reading that story, I'm like, I could see how an army of people could get loose, go to somewhere else, mix with the locals, and then thousands of years later, it comes out in small traits amongst other people. And that seems like a very feasible thing to me after reading that.
And with like the ocean being a big mysterious thing that's present all over the world, all it takes, you could have an isolated little pocket tribe that's just staring at the ocean for a few hundred years.
Yeah.
And they're just like, you know what? Let's go. You know what I mean? And then they just go one day, and who knows where that story ends. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they found Egyptian artifacts in parts of Mexico and Central America.
Yeah, that's
wild,
Yeah,
dude.
speaking of the lost tribes of Israel, like they found what looks to be ancient Hebraic writing it was like in some copper mine in Lake Michigan or one of the Great Lakes, Lake Erie, something like that. There's this island there, and there's like this ancient copper mine, and they found what looks to be ancient Hebraic inscriptions there.
Fun fact, a little geographical fact. Historically,
I thought you said geographic fact. Like,
no, sir. No. Islands in the middle of lakes, historically, are really most commonly created by meteors. And if there's a copper mine there, makes you think. So some ancient people were like, let's go dig out that meteor, which is an island now in the middle of a lake. Okay. I don't know. I just love thinking about that stuff. It's an actual, I made my own map, so I had to like look into this stuff a little bit. And that's really one of the only ways you can actually rationalize it. Because for an island to like erode out, you would almost need like some sort of hill or mountain there, and it just has to erode that way over time to get that. So it's just like easier to slap a meteor in the middle of the lake, and then now you have an island. You know what I mean?
Well, like also there's I looked into that a while back too, and it's like rivers don't fork almost ever. The rivers will lead into one river, but they will not flow down and then split into two separate rivers, with like literally 3 exceptions in the world that I'm aware of.
Right.
And it's like it just like it's something you hear about in stories, and it's like it doesn't happen like that. It just doesn't.
and typically a sign of a noob, like a newbie map maker, is they'll do that like Egyptian delta, like in northern Egypt where all the rivers fork the wrong way because of the specific geological like formation that's happening there. All the rivers fork and create like a wetland. Basically breaking the rule of what you just said, Kahuna. But like you said, it's extremely rare. So it's usually a sign that it's a bad map maker creating this fantasy map. But I will say this. The reason I even brought it up, because I saw a good example of it in the Iron Age. It's Tim O'Burnham's book, actually. It comes with a map, and he has a delta region, and it's done correctly from my dissertation of it, like from what I could gather of it. I was looking at it, as somebody who's made a map, and I was like, I'm pretty sure this checks out, and I think that earns him a little points for doing it correctly.
Nice.
But a cartographer might prove me wrong.
To answer Cinemodium's question, I haven't read that book yet.
Yeah, me either. The 13 Emerald Tablets, though, I have been fascinated in them.
I've heard of it, but I haven't read them yet.
Yeah. I plan on reading the Book of Enoch first. I haven't read a lot of quotes, but I haven't read the whole thing yet.
Yeah, the Emerald Tablets are one of the oldest documents. The Book of Enoch. When you get into these original documents, it's a beautiful thing. I actually got a more faithfully translated version of the Poetic Edda by the Poetic Edda, the Norse Poetic Edda. It's translated by a university professor. I don't have the book nearby at the moment to be able to share his name, but I'm sure I will in the future. Like I saw some of this dude's videos. He's like translating Tolkien into Norse and like doing it more than faithfully, like going up and out of his way to find like the most accurate words and then saying them in a Western way so that it actually kind of like, basically he made a different language rhyme in a Western way and it all completely still makes sense, and it's ancient Norse, and he did it for Tolkien. it's a pretty beautiful thing. But like, that's one of the old documents I really like too, is the Poetic Edda. You can get into these. It's not no Emerald Tablets though, and it's not it's not no Book of Enoch. I mean,
it's also a shame that's there, like, because there are cultures that have survived in some essence up until the modern day. Like China is a good example of that. There's a lot of ancient Chinese things that are still we know a fair amount about, but there were a lot of cultures that did not have an alphabet or a written language for so long. Like Hawaii's one of them. Heck, before the Greeks, the Phoenician alphabet, there wasn't really written language going on there either for the most part.
Cuneiform is fascinating to me. Ancient Sumerian. Sumerian shit.
The ancient Chinese language is really fascinating to me, especially with like a lot of the ancient biblical parallels. Like their word for boat is like people, is like 8 people inside of a boat, like Noah's Ark. And like there's a lot of things like that. And like if you go to Beijing, you can see a reconstructed Temple of Heaven, which was basically the emperor. He would do the sacrificial, he would do a yearly sacrifice for the sins of his people. This was like in ancient China, and it was
very fucking Hebrew.
As the
sound familiar?
Almost. So
I love it, and that actually, this whole thing leads me into another point I was gonna ask you about, Sir Harris. So China is pretty closed. I mean, the country you live in, I should say. I should stop saying that.
Oh, it's fine.
China is pretty closed as far as what it talks about, what it's willing to dig into and look into, investigate as far as its ancient, far ancient, honestly, endless past. Like when you go far enough into the Chinese past, it just gets dark. It just goes dark, but it doesn't stop. Like it's just like, and that's all we know. It didn't end, but that's all we know. You know what I mean? Kind of like Egypt. It just eventually goes dark. It's not like there's an actual end to the history of it or whatever. Same with the Middle East. You just keep going. You get to like ancient Sumeria, and it just keeps going, and it goes dark.
It's like
anyway.
The Middle East is fascinating a little bit, just because it's like I know it wasn't always as arid and terrible as it is now, but like people have been fighting there perpetually for like 3,000 or 4,000 years, at least. And now it's nothing. It seems like there's nothing of value, but. Yeah, I don't know.
when you go to the most ancient sites of fortresses, like I want to say or like Babylon. I don't know which. There's one of them that's like an ancient biblical city mentioned.
Yeah.
And what remains of it is really just a slab, but you can look at it and you can reconstruct it. They're able to like reverse engineer this stuff. Like, it's fascinating because that's not really that long ago when you compare it to like how unfathomably ancient the pyramids are, or even like evidence on Stonehenge, right? Because they rebuilt Stonehenge in the 60s, and the erosion on the specific piece that fell over and cracked, you can actually see all of the how the sausage is made, so to speak, on Stonehenge, and there's evidence to suggest that it is extremely old.
Well, heck, have you guys heard about the mounds in America?
Yes,
like
with giants in them sometimes.
They had these like 20,000-pound interlocking stones that they would have had been lifted and then set down on top of the roof, and it's not solid rock. It's like they were carved so where they would fit together like a puzzle piece, and they're like 20,000 pounds, and I don't understand it.
Cyclopean architecture, I think, is what you're talking about. Like they're all different shapes, literally all different shapes and sizes. They somehow fit so perfectly together with no mortar, no concrete, and not even a razor or a sheet of paper can fit between it, because they're just so perfectly together. And it's all just seemingly random shapes. Like sometimes they're shaped like a Z. Like, why did you do that? That's not efficient. And it all like perfectly lines up. Like if you just erased all of the strata marks of all of it and it was just one smooth surface, it would be a beautiful work of architecture as we see from the outside. And then you go up close. You go up close and you just realize it's a 3D puzzle.
It's insane.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Yeah.
I love it. The Cyclopean architecture, man. That is something that literally nobody can disprove without trying to be like Occam's razor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What was your question about China, though?
my question was, what is some inner work? What is some inside stuff that you might know that we might not know that they've discovered recently, or like they're more willing to talk about? Because I know, like, even with like the Terracotta Army, they reached a certain point with that where they just kind of stopped, right? And they're like, this is as far as we're gonna go. And you know what I mean? And there's all these speculations of like what's inside the main pyramid there, the main chamber, allegedly the emperor has like a full scale reconstruction of all of China, and like the main river is liquid mercury, and he's got all these treasures. But when you just simply take a drone and fly it over China, for starters, China's enormous, right? Enormous. Huge. And like, as we've already established, almost unfathomably ancient. It just goes dark. So who knows where it started? There's no end to the history. So when you combine the size of the region with the ancient history, like you fly a drone over it, you literally see like pyramid-shaped mountains everywhere. Like it's almost, they are refusing to dig things up. And I guess my question is there any recent things that they've been maybe more willing to talk to you, its own citizens about, rather than the world?
Yes and no. Like, basically, you'll just get the same answer no matter who it is, unless you talk to like an old timer or something. But most of them are just, they're just village people doing their own thing. So you'll just hear, like, oh yeah, that's just that old Earth pyramid, So
it's like, oh, that old thing. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. It's
that enormous mound.
Yeah, so actually, like, I saw the Terracotta Warriors for the first time in November. So I saw that, and I saw the giant pyramid. We drove past it, and yeah, there's for here, like some of the one of the lesser known ones that's actually in my province is the Qinghai Baigong pipes.
The pipes that are coming out of the side of the cliff?
Yeah, so it's like there's this mountain.
Clay?
No, it's like iron, I believe.
Yeah,
it's like
they're metal pipes, bro.
Pipes, and they flow with water, and they're in the middle of the mountain here in Qinghai. And then it's like 28 miles away. It's connected to a lake.
Yeah,
and it's just like going through a mountain.
Through a mountain. It literally looks like they drilled holes. Like the pipes are fed.
Okay, I have heard of this. That it's like the only way to achieve holes like that in the modern day is like with a diamond head drill bit.
Yes.
And
then there's iron pipes. There's iron pipes, and it dates back to ancient times. Like these are.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Where what it came from, where it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's been speculation, and at this point I'm pretty ready to believe that this is not the first time in history we've discovered electricity. Like there's things that point to that.
You don't need to be a conspiracy theorist to even look at all of the like the evidence that has come forward in the last decade, even right? Just the last decade. There's like stuff like we now know that the Sahara is on a recurring cycle of becoming green. There's one of the largest lakes on Earth beneath the Sahara. There's whale bones there that all back that up. There's the eye of the Sahara in the west that is a total enigma. There's the Younger Dryas impact theory that honestly, I mean, has yet to be like disproven without like you'd have to be like, well, no, mainstream history says this to actually disprove the Younger Dryas, but like the Younger Dryas is backed up with geological and scientific evidence.
Even mainstream history now is like Younger Dryas was real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
like,
and I mean,
also,
it would just.
My dad showed me some like newspaper clippings from back when he was a kid, and when my grandpa was in the army, coming back home and talking about how they're going to have the next ice age soon, and how like the environment's going to hell, and we're going to be half the world be covered in ice in like 15 years. I'm like, Dude, that is fucking hilarious. That is
Yeah,
so fucking funny.
there's a classified document from one of the 3-letter agencies. I can't remember which one, but it was declassified because of the Freedom of Information Act. I believe you can go look it up. It's called the Adam and Eve Project, I believe.
I've heard about that.
It's just literally an author wrote this book. I think it's the Adam and Eve Project. It might have a different name.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve Story, maybe. Hold on a second.
I think there's a good YouTube channel called The Lore Lodge. They have a video on that.
I've heard of that channel, actually. Yeah.
No,
it's good shit, man.
Yeah. I have an interesting thing with Tim Allen's comments, the giant serpent sculpture.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There's a lot to dig into with that. Like if you look all around the world, there's giant serpent cults. And
almost everywhere. Yeah.
Almost everywhere. And almost all those cultures, whenever there was a giant serpent cult, there was ritual psychedelic usage and ritual human sacrifice.
Yep.
And like if you look into the linguistics of ancient Aramaic and Hebrew, you know the word seraphim, like the kind of angel seraph.
Yeah.
That literally means fiery serpent or fiery flying serpent.
We're getting into my shit. This is good.
The seraphim, like my theory is that dragons were actually fallen angels revealing themselves to men to worship them. And that's why all over the world you have these cults. It's basically all these fallen seraphim angels who were appearing in serpent form. And so that's why, like, all across the world, like in Mesoamerica, in North America, in ancient Middle East, there's all these serpent cults. And that's why you find it all around the world.
Yeah, no, I've looked a little bit into that too. Like my area of interest was specifically, I was looking at all these ancient cultures, less to do with the snakes, even though it came up on its own. But I was just looking at all these ancient cultures where human sacrifice was a typical, like a regular practice. And like basically it goes over like how they were systematically destroyed after like so long after that became their regular practice, and it just happens over and over again like freaking clockwork. It's really really fascinating.
I could speak on the most famous serpent cult, which would be the Aztecs, which one of their primary deities was Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, the knowledge bearer, which brings me to my point. A lot of these, which is actually, it crosses over with Mr. Harris's point a little bit, which is a lot of these cultures that have this serpent or dragon or reptilian type of deity. This deity is almost always some sort of knowledge bearer, right? So that actually goes in line with what Michael was saying. So
the fruit of the knowledge, like tree of knowledge of good and evil and all that too. That's
right. Or like or like if we want to eliminate any sort of spiritual aspect to it, you could say perhaps an ancient people that survived a flood and appeared. I don't know where the snake symbolism comes from. That's the weird aspect about it, and like the feathered serpent and all that, right? But this idea of a knowledge bearer appearing out of obscurity throughout history around the world. I mean, they happen to be in the form of a serpent or whatever, but like that knowledge bearer presents itself over and over again, like and it's strange. The pragmatic approach in my head would be like, it's a survivor of the flood, and my author side wants to be like it's a reptilian race. But like, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know.
Wait. Hold on, AC. You have a reptilian race in your stories.
I have all races.
It's like, I want to put it in the book. I'm like, hold the phone. You did put it in the book. Oh, I love it, man. Oh, what was it too? Oh, that's something interesting too. I've been reading the Horus Heresy from Warhammer 40K recently, And I've read portions of it before, but this is the first time I'm doing like a dedicated reread of it. And it's like, yeah, there's this like kind of chaotic cult here, and it's like, and it dates back to like these things on ancient Earth. It's like 40K is sometimes very subtle, like in the books, like with its references, and then sometimes there's lines like this. It's known by many names, like this one, Satan or something like that. I'm like, I'm like, you are so subtle sometimes, and other times you're like, yeah, it's Satan. Love it. It's fantastic.
So Horus Heresy Warhammer. Yeah, that's I've been getting into some Warhammer stuff too. I have some friends of the family.
Sucks, but it's too bad. It didn't always suck.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten too deep into the actual lore aspect yet. I've been really just focusing on orcs and just trying to pick up on the little world building details, right? I can pick up on a lot of the world building details. Like I've kind of already identified that each faction is broken up into a different caricature of some sort of embodiment of evil, right? So like the orc is the invasive species. The humans or the space marines are very, how do I put this, like Nazi Germany mixed with modern American industrial complex. Mixed with Rome.
It's all based off of like the old, like they start off as like the Knights of Valor from stories, and then they get corrupted into the modern.
There's a lot, and there's a lot of like medieval knight imagery with them. Like there's the space wolves, they're very Viking, and then there's the which all of these things are cool, but like knights had the Crusades, Vikings raided, you know what I mean, Rome, there's a lot of Rome tied to them. Rome famously, there was the greatest empire, sure, but like has their flaws, obviously. And you know what I mean, like, and like yeah, and I think
How do you guys go about world building? Like when you're doing a story, do you do a bunch of world building first, then do the story, or how do you guys like to go about it?
A little bit of both.
But Kahuna can go.
Like with Fantasy World, I've been working in for a little bit now, writing different portions of stories for. I have some stuff like set in stone. And then others I've been kind of discovering along the way. I've also discovered a problem. I've discovered what I can't do. I can't assign a temporary name to something and then change it later. If I write with that name in mind, then that's what it will always be. So in my unfortunate joke about the indigenous group of Caucasian-looking people being like the savages of this new world, they are the whites, and I can't change it now. But it's like HWAIGHTS. That's how it's spelled basically.
You could always do like zombie white, WIGHT.
That could work. That could work too. But
like white.
But like I was going over maps again here too, because like part of one of my stories is that they accidentally discovered the equivalent of America, and that's where these indigenous people are. They're in a part of the world that was disconnected during when magic was changing in the world. So the magic there is much less known, and it's much less articulated, but it's also less restricted in what it can do and what people are able to achieve. And so it's it's fun, dude. It's gonna be really fucking cool.
Is it like a First Contact story?
That wasn't what it started off as. But there will be an element of that, because it's kind of gonna be like the Native Americans in America. It's like some tribes are really, really cool, and then others were not cool.
So you're gonna accurately depict humanity and history at the same time. I mean, who the hell do you think you are? How dare you?
I know, fucking savage. Anyway, but like, the last story I was writing was about a group that when they crash landed on this continent, they got separated, and now they're being pursued through like misty, like these they're not misty, it's like steam covered foothills of a mountain, and they're about to stumble across a basically permanent hot tub of sacrifice. So it's gonna be, it's good. They're about to have a really bad day on top of it.
I will share the plot to my novel as well. That's coming out this year. in a second. How did you come up with those plot points? To Michael's question.
Me?
Yeah. How did you develop how did you world build that? Did I may have missed that.
I knew what most of the world looked like, and I have a lot of the history of the rest of the world kind of developed. I decided to do kind of a hybrid. So with this one, I let it kind of be a bit more of a stream of consciousness because it doesn't follow the kind of rules of the world as much as the rest of the stories. I felt freer to kind of let the weird kind of come out. And so there's going to be a lot of weird. There's going to be some weird BS kind of things, and it's going to feel much more like a Robert E. Howard like horror story. And they like not a spoiler. They do escape. Most of the people do escape the continents, and it will lead into storylines later down the line. But yeah, I basically looked at a lot of like occult mythology kind of stuff, and like journals of people discovering new lands, and I based a lot of it off of that. It was really good stuff, man.
Dude, those firsthand accounts are treasure. That is treasure, and you can just go on YouTube and listen to it right now for free. You can just go listen to that.
You can listen. Awesome. You can listen to the journal, like the out loud journals of Captain Cook and his crew when they discovered the lions and all that. Dude, it's so fascinating, man.
One of my favorite. Okay, we'll get into firsthand accounts is a whole other topic that I absolutely love. But that all sounds like an amazing concept. How I world build. A lot of times I start with like lists. So like you're going to need names, right? So, a good way to start with that is just like being very literal with it. So like, I like to try to cut out any sort of like downtime where I'm just sitting there staring at the wall, trying to think of stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I realized pretty early on with my book that just like plopping a name down doesn't work unless you're lucky, and the name literally doesn't matter like that. But it feels so much better when they mean something. So like, if this character's strong, I'll start with the word strong, and kind of I'll use other languages and come up with a word that literally means strong in another language, but it looks like a name in this. Right, but not that on the nose.
No, I know.
Yeah. Like
I might need to make that character now. Anyway, continue.
There's a character in the next episode of Spirit Animals. It's a new spirit animal that you get to meet. It is a giant, enormous hairless hound. And its name is Jund or Yund, Jund, which translates to earth or world or soil or dirt or whatever. And I have a very specific reason for every name at this point now after I figured out my system. But like, I'll start off with a list of names and I come up with a bank of names. Now I have, look at that. I have a bunch of characters. They all mean stuff that I went out of my way. Okay, that person's smart. That person, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like categorized for you at that point. And it all sounds cool and it's all original. And, now you have your characters, your places, your things, in the case of like if you need like the name of a staff or like a deity or something. But from there, then you can get into like what Kahuna was saying about the stream of thought, and like you're just like, okay, here I go.
You can't be too rigid. Sometimes you got to let your
right.
It create.
Yeah, I'm not saying like create boxes. I'm saying like I pile up a bunch of firewood and I pull from it as needed. A lot of times I'll have like a few names left, like actually quite a few names left over in each category, because I also don't like to shoehorn in characters. You know what I mean? So, y'all
are making me feel lazy.
You have a special, I don't know, man. Everybody's different, and you have a different way. You have a very different way of like imagining the story and going about
for me,
it.
I'm just like, okay, this seems cool, and then I just do it.
Yeah, and so, you generally do well. So
the good thing is, like, I've had people like compliment me on my world building, and they're like, "Man, your world felt really real and like lived in," and I was like, That's cool. I just kind of came up with it on the spot because it seemed like it would work. And that's
Also,
pretty much how I world build.
Andy, did you just call him special, or did I mishear that?
Yeah. I mean, we're all a little special, especially these days.
I drive the shortest bus. I swear, no.
Yeah.
My bus is.
So for me, like with world building, I also, if it's not on the page, I'm probably not gonna even bother with it. I'm just like, you know, some people like they have the whole history of their world and whatnot. I'm like, I'm gonna leave that to the reader. That you can make up cooler stuff in your mind than I can.
You don't have to share, you don't have to share everything, but for me, I need to kind of discover it a little bit, so I need to know to some degree.
100%. That's why I made my map.
Yeah, for me, I'll add in just random tidbits that make the world like more interesting because I'm like, oh, this just seems like it would be cool and it would make the world feel more lived in and whatnot. But I'm not going to explain it because the reader will make something way cooler than I will for them. Like if I make it set in stone, I feel like I like that. Like a good example is Brandon Sanderson. He does that. Like he has rules for everything and he's more like on your side AC where he just like goes super in depth with everything. But for me, I like letting the reader do the work because I feel like it invests them in the story. And I'll just add like a random tidbit, like a sentence about like this thing, like this culture that predates the other culture, but I don't know what that culture is. I'm going to let the readers make up a story in their own mind about what it is.
Are you aware of iceberg theory? Okay, so for starters, you're right. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like I don't got world builder's disease. I realized pretty early on that if I have rigid confined rules for certain things, it literally makes the entire garden grow a little bit healthier, if that makes sense. So like an example, rigid rules on names doesn't box me or the reader into anything narratively or with their time or wonder. If anything, it'll only do what like you're saying is it'll make them wonder some stuff. Like that's that's an original name. Hey, I know a little bit of Norse and that kind of sounds like Earth. That does mean Earth. What does that mean? And then they start looking into other things. But I digress. So yeah, I don't want to like, what's it called? Like in D&D where you're like forcing the party to go through your story. I forgot what it's called.
A dickhead.
Yeah. I don't want to like, like shoehorn in like lore and stuff and like just go on and on about that because you can convey all of that like and still have that you can still have that history there in your mind. Like I was saying to Kahuna, I needed to make a map. Well, I didn't like fully label every single aspect on that map, but I needed to know, okay, they showed up here and they're traveling to here. You know what I mean? And I still have like the whole rest of the map, which actually tempted me to just like double the length of my story because I have this whole island to just explore. But I had to make choices at that point. That's the downside to fleshing things out.
Well, like for me too, it's like there's this family that's going to be prominent in certain stories in this particular fantasy world, and it's like there are people who use magic and like and it's specifically fire magic, and everyone's like, oh, these guys they're the best fire magicians. It's like technically that's not true. What happened was an ancient ancestor of theirs made a deal with through an interdimensional portal to a world filled with fire demons. And so they just summon portals and release, indiscriminate amounts of fire and terror, depending on their skill level and how clever they are. And so it's like I've written backstories for about like 12 of those characters.
It sounds like Vance.
You're not gonna meet all of them.
No. It'll be nice to have them, though. Is the thing. You just don't want to get too carried away with your bank building and like I do in particular. sticking to pragmatic things that won't disrupt things. Like it's a good investment. Names are kind of a bad example in this regard because I have disregarded names, some leftover names completely. But in that same vein, on the other side of that coin, I've gone back to some of my other projects and pulled names from the other story to use instead of just coming up with a fresh list. I just need one more name or whatever. Okay, go over here and pull it. In fact, Jund, whatever. Yund was the original name of a different, more important character, I'll say. And I actually just kind of moved it over and came up with a new name for that other character or whatever. So,
sometimes world building doesn't have to be so different. Like Sanderson's Stormlight, the world in that is very, very different, but you sometimes don't even have to go that different to make it feel very different. Like a weird one is in AC, your book. There's spoiler, there are orcs in a portion of it. Anyway. And they're not green skinned, they're gray skinned, these particular orcs. And it's a very small thing, but it makes them feel very different and visualize very, very different.
In fact, you'll see a lot of orcs with like red hair in traditional lore like Warhammer or Warcraft even. They have these tufts of red hair, which is cool. It goes with the green skin, right? I did a little nod to that. I have one orc character who has that mohawk of red. That fiery red stripe, and all of them make fun of him, and he's just kind of a little dweeb now. He was just born that way, and that's where it kind of led him. But he's one of my favorite characters, honestly. He's the bard, so he makes do with it. But the idea is that's unlucky because like with the red hair, you stand out in the snow, and my orcs are from like the Arctic, so you'd stand out.
Okay. AC, Andy, I am curious if you picked up on the fact that in 40K the orcs are the most psychically capable, powerful. That's the most psychically most powerful race in the entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and they don't even know it. Yeah, it's great, and it's probably
the best they don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Iceberg theory. What I was originally going to get to with Michael Harris's thing, and especially with Brandon Sanderson. Hey babe, how you doing? How's the store, by the way?
Mute for some reason.
Oh, I'm sorry. I won't say anything naughty. It's okay. You can just turn me down.
Don't worry, I'll say it.
So
I'll just say all the bad words in Chinese. Just kidding.
Yeah, I'll just start cursing in Chinese. So iceberg theory is like literally what Sanderson does. Actually, 100% what he does, and you make it seem like there's a lot more, like what Kahuna was saying also, and like what you were saying. You show them the tip of the iceberg, and you let people draw all the assumptions they want about what the rest of it looks like. You just got to describe that tip of it so well that they can visualize the rest of it on their own. You give them a little taste, and they can imagine what the whole meal was like, if that makes sense. And you just do that over and over. But it's just this idea of just showing the top of the iceberg. But there's all this.
I didn't know the name for it, but that's definitely what I do. Like, I just want to add in, like, I'll throw in just a couple of lines of extra flavor, and then that makes the world seem lived in, and then the readers get to have fun making their own, like, taking part in the story, if that makes sense.
And if you do that in a clever way, you can draw on it.
One thing I'm excited about with my newest book that's coming out, well, at least for here today on Sunday, for the print version, I added about 20 extra pages for kids or whoever to make their own little creature PDF.
Yeah, you told me about that. That was a fun idea.
Because there's like a whole bunch of, like, I have the shark huffalo, the cintabear, lobodiles, which are giant lobster crocodiles.
Dude, I'm all about avatar creatures. Don't even get me started. I'm all about avatar creatures.
Yeah, so I have a whole bunch of things like that. I have the Raboon, which is a half rabbit, half baboon.
That sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. All
dude.
Sound horrible. They sound.
They can all be cuddly, but horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have some like nice ones. I think the Glorblings. Glorblings are like little fat dragons that are about as big as a baby's hand, and they just puff out steam.
Guys, did you hear that? You didn't hear it. It was muted. Oh my god. This lady was trying to grab something and she had me grab it for her because her boobs were so big she couldn't fit in there to get it.
Whoa. Holy smokes.
Hilarious. That was the best thing ever. I got to help someone, but it was hilarious.
Well, share with the rest of the class. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And you were nice and helped her?
Okay, I'll tell you guys when I leave.
Okay.
I'm
going to put you on mute again. Yeah. So, yeah, Labadiles.
Yeah. So I have more than a few creatures where I just came up with a name for them, and then just like, I'll just have a sentence like, oh, it felt like there was a hive of glocklarts crawling through my skin or something like that. I don't remember what I wrote, but I have quite a few
kind of
things
like
that.
rolling with Harry Potter a little bit.
Yeah.
Like she'd fill in the details later, but sometimes she'd just like, and here's this thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a lot of that. So in the print version of my new book, because this is more all ages, I added a bunch of empty pages for you to add in your own creatures and draw them and to describe what they are.
That's cool.
So, because I especially with doing all ages stuff, I think it's really cool making it interactive and letting the kids do their own, letting people add in their own special details.
I think there was actually a Harry Potter book that was like that. It was like one of the extras, not the main ones. It was like how it was supposed to be like a copy of Ron and Harry's class book talking about dangerous magical animals, and there was like a couple pages in the back where you could like fill out what it is and like make something up. Sounds a lot like that. It was fun.
Yeah. Because I know if I was a kid, I'd be like, heck yeah, I'm gonna make my own little Kyogre or whatever.
Yeah, and if you're in the middle of reading it, you just imagined it. So how nice would it be to just flip to the back quick and draw it up? It's right there. It's a good idea. Yeah.
You know what? You need in the next one if you make another one, a turtle dove. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah. I have scorpions, which are squirrel scorpions.
Oh no!
That's horrifying, dude.
I think I might have them briefly mentioned in the main book. I'm writing like a little short story in the same world, set with the main character when he's grown up and a dad. So I know the scorpions are there, but like I also have things like lizkeys, which are lizard monkeys.
That's
things like
something.
Just like tiny scaled people. Yeah, not a fan.
Now, do they have like reptilian tails or like monkey tails?
Like monkey tails, but they're covered in like scales.
Scales. Oh my god, that's off-putting. I love it.
Yeah, just want to make a weird, fantastical world for for people to enjoy.
I thought some of the creatures in my fantasy world were horrifying. From the 12-foot demonic elves that are like malformed, they can't speak anymore, they just shriek, and then the serial raping centaurs that kill horses and people with equal measure, and are carnivorous as well. Yours sounds so simple, but also so horrifying.
Yeah, it's like you're combining the best aspects.
One of the more straightforward ones that's fun is the magma wolves. they're literally just wolves made out of magma.
Yeah. They have a really cool version of those on like Adventure Time, if I recall. There's some fire wolves on there. They're pretty cool. My wolves are quill wolves. They're like dire wolves. They're like dire wolves on crack, and they have giant barbs just like protruding from their back like a oversized porcupine.
Oh,
and yeah. And my bears have horns. Like what I did is I took real life animals and I made a version of them that's just on crack and horrifying. So bears with horns, bro. Like
nice
and bigger. They're always bigger.
In my book, the Cinta bears, they have the centipede pinchers as well.
Why?
Ooh, yes,
dude, centipedes are like one of my the most hated animals of all time. They're horrible, by the way.
That's how you do an all ages book and are able to still do like body horror and make people a little unsettled as you dive into that like Lovecraftian sort of thing where you just describe things or like they just have aspects. Like some of the horror with Lovecraft stuff was he just described that they had too many eyes or the mouth opened too wide.
Like for this one,
too wide.
For me, because I don't have the visual imagination, I'm like, this isn't scary to me. And I think a lot of kids are just like, oh, that's cool. It's a rabbit lizard or like a rabbit baboon. But like the adults are like, wait, that's horrifying.
Yeah. And especially like the monkey lizard with like with the monkey tail and the lizard scale, like just
like the intelligence of the monkey.
A lot of them I don't really go into
horrifying.
Much detail,
nightmare fuel,
almost any detail describing the creatures because I want them to just fill it in for themselves. So like there's a couple animals that only get mentions that he never has to face them, but there's like coyogators, which are coyote alligators, and like the hippopotamus rex, which is a T-Rex hippo.
Dude.
And sometimes all you got to say is like scorpion squirrel, and that's enough of a description. You know what I mean? Like the details don't need to be there. That's the iceberg. You're literally doing the iceberg thing with just your creatures. By just that's all you get is it's a scorpion squirrel. That's all you need.
What we're learning is that Andy and I dive maybe deeper than we need to sometimes.
I just love this stuff, man. It's like fun. I love it.
No, it works for me because like I'm like, you know, I don't have anything in my head going on. I'm like, that'd be cool. I'll let people like you and Andy fill in all the details and make it really neat.
Yeah.
Well, like I thought on my show the other day, Michael, you and I were talking. I might have been off stream. I can't remember, but it was either towards the end of the stream or after the stream. But we were talking. It's like you and I are basically opposite in terms of storytelling in some ways because like you have an idea and you're like, oh, that's cool, and then you kind of just like build everything around that. And I'm like, I see everything. I don't have a dialogue in my head unless I force it. So I'm like, everything is sounds, feelings, visuals, smells, the whole thing. Like that's all that's in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fun talking about storytelling.
Purely concept.
I love it.
It works out, man. You should do more. Actually, you've done everything. You do whatever you like. I'm like telling you he should do something like, but he has like 9 books. He's probably done it already.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say I should do? Might give me a new story. I was gonna say just more sci-fi. More sci-fi. That's all. I have a sci-fi trilogy coming down the pipe, so that one should be interesting. It's basically I was like, I'm going to set it like 3,000 years in the future, but what if everything was controlled by like these green eco people, but they're Buddhists. So it's like eco-Buddhist future, but they're not the good guys.
It's unique,
I'm confused.
Guess you're going to have to read the trilogy.
So basically, general idea is like there's I think it's like the UPF, the United People's Federation, and there's the humans and the bios, and bios are actual humans, and humans are, they mod themselves with like nanotechnology, so they can look like any, like, there's cat people, there's people who mod themselves to look like all sorts of things.
The
And
Japanese are like heavy breathing.
Yeah, they're like one of the biggest things in the world. Like they do, what do I call it in the story? Not terraforming. They do like fauna flooring or flora flooring, something like that. I'd have to go check back. But basically, mod animals. So there's like sky whales and things like that, and like
that's fun.
Like there's disc worlds, which are like basically these eco spaceships that it's like a giant world that's a spaceship, but inside of it it's all covered in moss and things like that.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's super fun.
So yeah, basically the main part of the first book is there's this research planet and it gets completely destroyed and some terrorists are to blame for it. But it's not who you think it is who's actually doing the destroying of the planets. And
kind of like
never is.
Yeah,
it never is.
UPF aren't the good guys, and they think people are a plague.
Yeah, naturally. So they're transhumanists.
Yeah. So basically the government are transhumanists, and
like real life.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's great. I love you too, KD.
That future sounds very different than my sci-fi story I've worked on a bit. I need to do more. It's in the dark cyber future of El Canada.
Fuck you.
El Canada.
El Canada.
Yeah. Well, what happens is there's a nuclear war, but it's mostly played for laughs. All the names are funny, everything. And a bunch of Americans, when America gets bombed, they flee to Canada, and then they meet the large Indian population there, not Native American, like Indian population, and they just assume that they're Mexican, so they start calling it El Canada, and it sticks. But it's nonsense. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. For my sci-fi, so one of the basic rules for my RK world is like realism. I just went with the logical, most natural places for my, to start with my writing, and it's just easier for me if everything is like set in a realistic context, because then I can just I can look up stuff about sharks or bears or whatever, and but so since RK has this general rule of realism, I think my sci-fi would be the polar opposite of that. So I would have ridiculous. I would have actual magic, real magical. That would be the story where there's maybe deities, that I'm writing about. Because I don't know, I think my RK world is very much cyclical, scientific, very pragmatic, black and white. But one of the rules for it is it's unlimitedly ancient. It's just as old as it needs to be, or whatever. Countless years have passed.
It just cycles of the same. It just cycles over and over.
Almost kind of like Wheel of Timey.
A little bit, but I haven't gotten into Wheel of Time, so I'm not really familiar. I think they're doing kind of the same idea. I'm pretty sure he was just let me make a sandbox to play in. That's kind of what I did with RK. I was like, this is my planet. Here's some rules. Boom. So for my sci-fi, I think it would be the polar opposite in the sense where since RK is impossibly ancient, maybe I would have something I don't know, recent breakthroughs in space travel lead to X discovery, so it's all pretty recent. Because I really like discovery too.
So in a galaxy nearby, not very long in the future, not very long ago.
In the near future, in the near past, in a nearby galaxy,
What's a genre you guys haven't done that you would like to do?
Oh, sci-fi.
I haven't done that much in sci-fi. There's I have a sci-fi futuristic horror based off of a short horror story by Robert E. Howard.
Mhm.
And it involves like a cyber, like it's basically in a future where Hawaii has been turned into the world's new Vegas.
Sick.
I think you were
like
telling me about that off stream.
oh yeah. But yeah, basically a guy from that kind of world. He leaves the like kind of cyberpunk kind of cityscape of like New Honolulu, and he discovers the ancient. I'll tell you guys because it's like the ancient Menehune, and
Oh, sick.
and he has to fight them off, and like they come out of like a subterranean kind of existence to fight him.
Awesome.
And it's gonna, dude. It's. I don't know how to write it yet, but I'm working on it. It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
Menehune are so
The
fascinating.
one I don't know how to write, but I really want to is I want to do like an Indiana Jones type of adventure.
Yeah, dude.
A lot of people want to know how to write that one.
Yeah. Like straightforward adventure like that is one of the hardest things to write, I think.
Yeah, because it can be cheesy. It can be so simple it's cheesy. Like,
Yeah.
and then the boulder rolled at
the
me.
right balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And now with all the stuff we know about like ancient cultures, I mean, Indiana Jones kind of had the benefit of ignorance in ways.
Yeah.
If that makes sense for its time period.
Yeah. So that's one I'd like to write, like one of just a straightforward kind of Indiana Jones type adventure, which it's oddly one of the most challenging to write in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not very commonly written, even amongst people in our kind of crowd, where you think it would be more common, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like
I can only think of like 2 or 3 people that are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of that
like,
in what's his face, James E. Esparza. He
I
has
haven't read
his
his
World
stuff.
Without End, and there's an element of that in that.
I know what's his name, Milton Lane, and he's like one in our sphere. He has written adventure book like that. And do you know Brina Williamson?
It sounds familiar, but not.
Yeah,
not
she's
fully.
written. She's writing a series like that. I haven't read it yet, but I've read her brother's. They're really good.
That's the one I knew about. She has like a female Indiana Jones or something, and like with a dog. I think her character has like a dog companion too, which I think is cool. Like,
yeah, I haven't read it yet, so I don't know, but I want to pick it up in the future.
Yeah, same. It caught my eye. Like you said, Indiana. It's not a common. You would think more people would be doing Indiana Jones type stories, but really, it's not very common.
Yeah, like getting a good adventure story it's really hard. Like I think the last one we've had like in pop culture was probably National Treasure. That's the last really good adventure story I can think of.
Right. All right, Tim Allen, you have a good night, buddy. Drink some water, hop in the shower, toss on a movie, lay down. You have a good night, brother.
Good night, dude.
So more on like what story we would want to write. Kahuna's back on the story that we would want to write with my sci-fi. I think like we were saying, like near future or whatever, like a recent discovery, and like maybe I would actually go into deities and stuff because of like we've talked about cryptids and stuff. So like I can't deny ghosts and those kind of videos, the weird, mysterious interdimensional UFOs and stuff like that. So I think the route I would go with science is we discover portals and it helps us travel through space, right? But when you do that, that's a portal, right? We can think of 1,000 implications off the top of our heads with that. And one of those could be, I don't know, demons coming through.
Like the warp kind of thing.
What's that? The warp?
Like the warp from 40K.
Is that a thing?
It's how they travel they travel between the stars. It's very, very fast compared to light speed. Like there are light speed vehicles, but the warp is the only way to manageably travel from one part of the galaxy into another. And it's like it touches chaos, which is how chaos entities and creatures sometimes get into the universe.
So simply traveling puts you in contact with them, which could corrupt you. They possess you. You morph into a demon, essentially.
And more, but yeah. AC for you, I recommend reading the Magitech Chronicles by Chris Fox. It is the most seamless blend of sci-fi and fantasy I have ever seen.
You should link me to that after the show, like PM me.
I will.
He has a good YouTube channel for indie authors.
Yeah. I think he lives close by me. Actually, I have been meaning to reach out to him. He's a cool guy, but yeah.
Yeah, I need to dive into a little 40K. It would seem too, because yeah, there's some stuff brushing up against it there, I think, but I think mine would be a little different. Like I said, I'm basically kind of coming up with the ideas for the future, because like my year is kind of already laid out with Spirit Animals and The Promise of Starlight.
For sure.
But I mean, after that, I'd like to hammer out a couple more Arcade Chronicles and like a novella or something of the sci-fi thing, because I would like to like try a little sci-fi just to have my sci-fi book or whatever. And I do have ideas like when you look into some ghost stuff. There's some people that say that like angels and demons are the same thing. Ghosts. And it's all interdimensional, right? And when you think about it, an angel and a demon, I mean, isn't a demon kind of just a fallen angel, right?
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. So
theory about that too.
Yep. So there you go. I was raised pretty Christian, so I actually have a pretty good outlook on some of this. I mean, I'm pretty agnostic myself. I just kind of have like an open mindset and an open heart, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to live when you don't really know. But because of that outlook growing up, I think I could actually tap into some badass stuff. Yeah. With that.
There's some cool stuff with that. Like you read into some of the early church fathers, they say like demons, like why they possess people and whatnot, is they're the disembodied spirit of the Nephilim.
Interesting.
And that's why things like they're tend to be scared of water in a lot of Christian lore, is because it's basically they were in the flood, in the great
water
flood.
Cleanses. The great flood.
Yeah.
Water cleanses. Yeah.
Yep. So like fallen angels and the demons they're both evil, but they're different kinds. They're different categories.
Right. One's more of a spirit.
Michael, have you ever read the Dresden Files?
Yes, I have. I was surprised by that because I never really liked urban fantasy, but reading Dresden has inspired me to write my urban fantasy I'm working on.
For sure. Well, like he like it's weird. You don't think of world building with urban fantasy, but he has some of the better world building I've seen in like recent years.
Yeah.
Whereas to like that kind of like in that kind of fantasy, I think he's almost unmatched.
Yeah, I think so too. Like he's just really, really good at that.
In the Nicodemus and the demon, the way he did the demons in Dresden was so like anytime he showed up, I'm like, oh, every time. Like, and also having it be the 20 denarius that paid for Jesus, like given in exchange for Jesus. I thought that was like just such a cool little thing to tack on there too.
Yeah. Another cool thing about like him is like he's one of the few non-Christian writers who actually respects Christianity and shows
for sure. It's like he makes Michael one of the coolest characters in the story. Whenever he shows up, everything that is evil and vile like flinches away because that's all they can really do.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, man. I love and he's very open. Like he's very open about the fact he's like, I'm not a believer. It's just not what I'm about. I'm like, but you write it really well, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. So Katie just got home, and she's a tarot reader and stuff, pretty spiritual. And she was recently hired to go do like a cleanse on somebody's house. And she decided to basically focus all of that into a box and like trap whatever's there into this box. But until she knows a proper way to dispose of it, it's just in the trunk of the car.
Oh.
And we were just talking about what we were just talking about. And she just called when I walked away just now. She was calling me because she needed help. But it was really because the lights were going insane as soon as she pulled in. Right when we were talking about that. So, I mean, don't mean to be all woo-woo. Don't mean to be all woo-woo, but I mean, if my walls start bleeding, I might need a little help, if you know what I'm saying, from afar. So.
My kahuna's will arrange it. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Protect them and keep them safe and cleanse any unclean spirits. And just pray your protection over the Pritchards.
Thank you. I like to think
someday
Grandpa
and
Grandma are watching.
About that stuff too. Yeah.
What's that, Kahuna?
No, I said someday I'll have to talk about some of my like spiritual stuff that I've experienced as well. Like fun, interesting stuff. I don't share that with everybody, but I share it with some people. So
gotcha.
Someday I'll share it with everybody. It'll be good.
I was gonna say we got a little time left if you do want to, but I understand if you don't share it with everybody.
I'll stay away from that. What I will say is my cousin also sees things in a way similar to me.
Interesting.
And but the difference was I was hanging out with better people in better places than she was for a while. So she's like, I was just sitting there in the car one day waiting for my boyfriend to get done, spray painting public places, which is a great thing to do and get arrested for 3 times. I'm glad that
great thing.
Anyway, she's married to a great guy now. It's over. But and she's like, I saw these weird like shadows like running across the road, and then like one of them stopped and was looking at her, and then there was one in the back of the car like behind her seat, and she could see it it was just like. She and I talked about that for a long time. It messed her up for a long time. It was really bad.
Kahuna, that kind of like lines up identically with my own personal story. Like I've never seen. Okay, so whenever anybody's like, "Oh, what's a ghost story?" Right? I'm like, I can't say like I've seen a ghost. I've never had like sleep paralysis. None of that weird stuff. Yeah. But there was this very weird point in my life when I was a kid, like 18, 19, just driving to work every day.
That's kind of the age a little bit for some people too. She was a similar age.
Dude, there was this weird shit. So I lived in the country in Minnesota, just a small town up like between Duluth and the cities and stuff. And there's a lot of reservations around there and old land. And there was an enormous fire that broke out in that area a while ago. Apparently that area used to be the same size as like Duluth and Minneapolis and St. Cloud. Like they were all kind of propped up around the similar times, but like this area burnt down. Yeah. They were like, America, land, this place is called Minnesota, settlement, connect everything, But this particular, the middle section burnt down eventually after so much development, and a bunch of people died and stuff. So there's that whole history with it. There's the reservations. There's just the natural ancientness of wild land to begin with. And then there's, Western interference, all that energy coming in and disturbing it too. So that's like the history of the area kind of. And I would take these back roads to work, and like I wasn't in the mindset of like getting creeped out. I was just like getting off of work or just on my way to work, and like a lot of times these roads are beautiful,
the scenic route.
Yeah, these roads are beautiful, and the scenic route happened to be the quickest way to get there from where I was living at the time,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen like a Midwest or specifically a Minnesota sunset, but they're like pink and purple, and it just looks like heaven. It does, and it's because the land is so flat. Oh, it's amazing. So
the only good thing about no hills or trees. the only thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
the sky. It's amazing. So yeah, so I would take these old back roads, and dude, there's no like defining point where like it started. It just like I was like cursed for like a couple of years or something where I would get this deep feeling of existential, not even existential, but just dread, like the feeling, quote unquote, like you're being watched or there's a presence or something. And I'm driving, and sometimes it's even during the day. And the randomness of it, and the fact that I'm like singing music and stuff, I'm a young budding musician, probably practicing my vocals. So how do you go from like screaming to like a song to all of a sudden I'm creeped out and you know what I mean? Got that dread feeling. Like, how does that energy change so quickly? So one time, there's a couple.
It helps. What I'll say is it helps with you when you're alone. It's not because your mind fills in the blanks. It's because you're less distracted and you're able to pay attention to things a bit more. That's what I kind of realized.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So there's like a couple times I swear I saw somebody standing on the side of the road. There was one time, and you can write that off. However, I think I saw it. I'm not even 100% sure. You're probably right. I didn't see it. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I swear there was like, why was like a barefoot lady standing on the side of the road, just standing there in the country on the scenic road? Okay. Forget about it. Next. Okay. Then there's like a couple times I swear there's like a wolf running out. Right. And one time I swerved because I was so sure, looked in my rear view, didn't see anything. Okay. There was probably still a wolf or a coyote. My mind's playing tricks on me. It's just in the brush. It just like ran past. I don't see it. Whatever.
Yeah.
One of the times, and this happened with both a lady and seeing a wolf directly in front of my car, I am 100% sure I'm hitting this animal or this person to the point where I fully slam on my brakes and I stop the car, and it takes me a minute to realize that I never hit anything. And like then you get really, really creeped out because you swear to God you made contact, like it was right there, and you didn't swerve in time, you didn't slow down. Yeah. So there's that, and I mean I can't say I saw anything, but it's like enough where I stopped and swerved and thought I saw, so I don't know if that's my mind, but I haven't had that ever since. It's like a curse was lifted, so a little long-winded, but there it is. That's what I got.
Yeah, I haven't had that. I've seen an angel, I'm certain. That was an interesting story. Like, I went to like a Christmas party or something. This was when I was living with my oldest brother. And we came back and just hear this like screaming and shouting below us in the apartment below us. And it was like an abusive boyfriend situation. And I just prayed. I was like, God, if you want me to do something, just show me, just have me do something, but I'm going to go to sleep. And I woke up in the middle of the night. Somebody opened my door and they just quietly beckoned me. And they're like, come, just gesturing to me. And I thought it was my older brother, but I got up. I just got up and followed the person. And then I hear crying in our living room. And it was the girl who was being abused. She had just come into our living room and was crying on our couch. And like the figure who beckoned me, they just disappeared.
Like they were nowhere to be found.
Yeah. And then my brother came a minute or two later, and he came out, and he we were comforting the girl.
Did you ask him if it was him, or did you just know?
Yeah, I was like, did you beckon to me to like get this girl? And he was like, no, I was asleep. I came out after I heard you moving. And so like we helped her out, and then she like kind of freaked out, and she's like, no, I need to leave. I shouldn't be here. And we had our door locked, and how she got in the first place, I don't know. And like then she went down, and we like confronted the guy, and there was like, it was just like you could feel palpable evilness, like evil there.
Oh my God.
alcohol everywhere. And then they were hiding in the back, in like the back of their house, and like this cat basically beckoned us to follow it and showed us where they were. And we confronted the guy. And another kind of funny thing is, while this was happening, like we kind of were like, hey, let's come outside and talk about this and help you guys calm down, because like he was hiding her in the back bathroom. And so like we came out and we were talking to them, trying to talk him and say, hey, like this shouldn't be happening, and talking to him.
I want to tell them
what was happening. Like I had brought a wooden training sword with me just in case, and God was like, this was one of the few times I've heard God speak audibly to me. He was like, if he attacks you, you hit him right here, it'll dislocate his shoulder. You kick him right here, it'll collapse him. And I was
dude,
like,
that's sick.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it was just weird because I knew exactly, like, because he was like, nothing happened, but he was definitely, I think he might have been possessed or something. But then,
I've had a couple people that were like, you could smell it.
Yeah. We basically just ended up talking him, then like talking him down a little bit. And then we went upstairs after we finished talking, and our door got locked from the inside. And so we had to kick down our own door, and nobody was there.
Just random? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then the cop who came to check out the situation, because we called the cops, he was a friend of my brother's. So,
something wasn't happy with you, that you were disrupting his puppet, or its puppet. Just saying,
yeah.
Something wasn't happy
so
with you.
that was definitely like a weird time, but like, yeah. I'm certain the dude who woke me up was an angel, because like he just opened the door, popped his head in, and was like, come, like just gesturing to come. And then literally as soon as I went out,
you're just like, all right, I'm going. And then, like,
yeah. That's I've seen a couple other weird things, but that was the most supernatural. Like another weird thing I saw is, I used to work at this Bible camp, and I had a couple times where, you know, the term glitch in the matrix, like I didn't have like an actual glitch in the matrix, but like I was looking, and there was a lot of weird stuff that kind of happened around the Bible camp. And I was looking into the forest across from the lake, and like 2 or 3 times there was just one section of forest, and it was not moving with the rest of the forest. Like on a windy day, it was like a second delay or two, almost kind of like, you know, like the Predator where it has the thing behind it, but you can see kind of the shimmer. I had that like 2 or 3 times. And also there, I had a reoccurring UFO I saw almost every night for
okay.
Almost
they were checking you out, bro. They were checking you out, or somebody nearby.
So,
yeah, that one, the UFO one, I think was a military test craft, because it looked like a really bright star, but it would slowly like inch its way across the sky over a space of a couple hours. Maybe it started here, and then it would go.
Was that in
like,
the States?
A couple. Yeah, this was in Nebraska.
Okay.
And then one night, though, I did see, like, I was walking home, because it was like this really rural area. There was only like 20 people. Closest town was like 200 people, and then the closest city was like 15 miles away, and that's like 20,000 people. So really rural. And I saw that one star-like UFO every night. And then one night I was walking home and just saw this ball of looked like glowing lava just drop out of the sky, completely silently fall in a field across the highway.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the UFO kind of stuff, but some of my family has seen some weird stuff, like a ball of light fly, like the size of a Volkswagen, fly down and like parallel the car for like about 2 or 3 minutes, and then like just zoom away across the water. Yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah.
I think Katie wanted to share something also. Whenever.
Yes.
Well, the scariest thing that I ever saw was, and this was years before I even ever heard of other people seeing these, let alone during sleep paralysis. When I woke up, I was on my side, and I had been waking up at this apartment, like, you know, like I hadn't been breathing and stuff like that. And then I woke up one night. What?
Almost like hyperventilating, or the opposite of that kind of thing.
Yeah, like I just wasn't breathing, and I had to like gasp for air, and I would like fly up and like, what's going on? So I woke up and I was laying on my side, and I remember seeing my alarm clock and the time on it. And the hallway, the door to my room was behind me, and it was open, and the hall light was on, so I could like see in my room. And there was a black solid shadow figure bent at the waist, and its face was like right here, and I could see its arm was either on me or the bed. And I had gotten sleep paralysis before and since, and never saw that. And then I was watching The Nightmare, that documentary on Netflix about sleep paralysis, and saw reenactments where it looked identical.
Were you paralyzed, or could you move, or was that?
No, I had sleep paralysis. I couldn't move. I could move my eyes, and that's it. And now I know how to fight my way out of it. And it really makes me mad. But you know, people are like, "Oh,
once."
People are like, it's not demons. It's just, you know, you're caught between sleep and awake, and your mind pictures something scary. I'm like, no, I would picture something with fucked up teeth and eyes, and you know, not just solid black shadow figure. Even though it's like, oh, mysterious. No. So anyway, so last night my friend had me like trap a demon at his house in a Dybbuk box. And when I was cleansing his house, he sent me video this morning because he was watching it. And when I was cleansing his house and saying like I don't know, like incantation or whatever you want to call it, about like the negative energy leaving, you can hear like a baby laugh.
Yeah. Like
Creepy.
baby laughter.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amused. It's quote unquote innocent.
Well, so it's in my trunk, right? And he also told me, he's like, I didn't want to freak you out, but I heard noises in your trunk when you were driving away because I parked in his garage.
What the hell?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, yeah, he just told me when I called him, because I just called him about it. So we have never had any issues with our lights flickering at all, except in Xander's room, and we're pretty sure it's when Andy's dad visits, because it happened at the other house. So, and it's like when he's like playing and, you know, whatever. So I pulled into the garage tonight. Again, never had any issues with the garage door lights that pop on when you use the garage door. And then the other one, like the normal ones, are flipped on because our the neighbor, she has to exit her apartment in the backyard and then go into the garage door. That's like a different back man door. So we just leave them on so she can see and stuff. So they're all on, and I pulled in and closed the garage door, and as soon as I turned my car off, all the lights started going crazy back and forth on, like it was like a disco. It freaked me out though. I was like, Andy. So I called him, and then
he left for a minute.
He told me you guys were talking about demons. I'm like, no, are you fucking serious?
Yeah. 100%.
So that's a little creepy.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it would do that if you weren't talking about it.
I don't know.
Hard to say for sure.
I wonder if that's why.
I don't make a habit of talking about it, but I've never been afraid to, just because of my belief. I've never been. Yeah. I've never been. What is the word? Not possessed. There isn't like tormented. I've never been tormented by that stuff. I've always been pretty solid that way. But like I've mentioned, I have had my things. And Michael, you told me about yours too. That was fascinating.
Yeah, I'm people will call me and cleanse their properties and different things like that. I think that if you're afraid, it's obviously going to feed on that. Any kind of low vibration is, so like these are low vibration entities, so they're going to feed off low vibration. So if you're vulnerable, if you're scared, things like that. And that's another reason that anger is not necessarily a low vibration. It can be a high vibration if you're like you know, like, you know, your power and, you know, things like that.
Yeah, like
So,
the Bible says, be angry, but don't sin. You can be righteously angry.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Hard
Yeah.
thing to balance. Like anger is not a sin, but it's a very
that's like
dangerous
passion, too.
toy it's a very dangerous tool that you have.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Yeah, I like to think of passion as a mix of almost like love and anger, and, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
Not really
Yeah.
too much anger, but, you know, like, you can get passionately angry.
Yeah.
You sound like a goose honking.
He's making so many cute noises in the background this whole video. It's been cute. Poor little guy.
Bobby, bring him here, babe. Andy, just bring him here.
Hey, little Xander dude.
Hey, brother.
No. Hi. Hi. I'm so happy to see you. You don't gotta hit Mama.
Hey, little dude.
I love you so much. Oh, you feel like hitting Mommy? That's not very nice.
He is so he's so blonde.
Yeah.
He's the blondest child.
He
I've
almost
ever
looks
seen.
bald. Almost
Love
bald.
you, baby.
Yeah.
Hi.
He's incredibly blonde, yeah. His mama's blonde.
Don't hit that.
Don't hit the mic.
Hey, little dude.
Looking for stuff to hit?
You say hi, buddy?
You want to be the host?
You the new
Say
host? Look,
Say
Zan.
hi.
Zan, look.
Wave
Say
hi.
Say hi.
Wave hi,
Say
baby.
hi.
Good job. Love you, Nimba.
So I think we should wind it up here pretty quick, just so we can get this guy fed. And I mean, we've had a
Sounds
good.
good.
It sounds good
why
to me,
don't you-
man. Sounds good.
Why don't you? We'll start with Kahuna. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me behind that dumpster. No, never mind. Let me see. You can find me at the Ultimate Kahuna YouTube channel. Recently, I had on Michael Harris for the 3rd episode of Iron Age Legends, and I look forward to having more of that. I'm going to be doing an official sign up for my next set of reading streams. Have a whole bunch of gaming content and more book stuff coming out. And probably even a little bit of Hawaii stuff, too. So, yeah, head on over.
Find
Ultimate
him on
Kahuna.
every other Pritchard pub.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm down for that.
You're basically the guest host now.
But, yeah, what about you, Michael? Rumor has it you might have a book coming out.
Yeah, I might have a book coming out. Well, at least here in China, it's today. Tomorrow for you guys. I think I set it to American time, so on Sunday I'll have a new book coming out, so you guys should go buy it.
So wait, you're telling us this from the future?
Yeah, from the future.
The future, yeah.
Yes, in the future everybody talks like this. I don't know why.
Yeah. Fantastic, man. But yeah, no, I look forward to your new book, man. I added one of your books to my Amazon list. I'm not sure which one, but what? The Name of Magic, maybe? Wait, no. It was either The Name of Magic or Echoes of Memory. I think
it was Echoes of Memory.
Yeah, I look. It's such a cool idea. I'm very excited to read that.
That one's definitely my biggest book so far.
Hmm.
It's, I think, almost 700 pages.
Ooh, that is a big boy. That's like a John A. Douglas. That's like the Black Crown size. That's
a chonker. Yeah, it's a chonker.
It's a chonker.
It's so relative too, because like compared to a Stormlight book, it's just a novella basically. But
yeah.
And drive.
Yep. It's a pretty hefty boy. Not quite Stormlight hefty, but hefty.
Oh, did you guys hear what I was saying in Walmart? There was a lady that was trying to reach something on
the knockers.
Yeah, she was trying to reach something on the back shelf, but her boobs were so big she couldn't like get in there. And so she asked me to do it for her. It was amazing.
People are great.
Like that kind of thing only happens
if it was a guy in that and he couldn't get in there because of that.
Oh God!
What are you calling me out, Michael? Sir?
She's like, "Can you help me? I can't get my chest." Like it was so. She was really nice though. So it was a nice little interaction.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and did you mention your X yet, or your Twitter?
No.
Hey, don't
So-
chew on that. That's a key,
finish it.
bub. I won't chew on my keys.
Michael Harris, M. Anthony Harris, over on the tweets and on my book titles.
Mhm.
And
I couldn't
Yeah.
find you. I couldn't tag you on Twitter because I couldn't type in the right word. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, the underscore M underscore is his real name.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it auto.
so, yeah, you can find me on Twix, M underscore Anthony Harris, all small letters. And
Yeah.
I just wrote a new all ages book that kids will love and the parents will enjoy too. And the parents will probably be more scared than the kids will.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And, yeah. And it's fun, whimsical, and has a lot of strange creatures. And yeah, buy my books.
Buy the book.
What more could you want, right? Strange creatures.
Mm.
Also, Mr. AC,
Oh.
you rumor has it you wrote a book at some point too.
I did. I'll talk about that in a second.
Watch out for the cords,
Xander's not
bub.
pulling the cord out of the laptop here, but yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. I'm gonna have Katie let everybody know where they can find you, lovely wife.
All right. On X, I'm at Moonzilla Tarot. And on Facebook, Moonzilla Tarot. On TikTok, MZ Tarot.
I wanted to ask you about
YouTube?
your name actually.
At Pritchard Pub. Me?
Yeah. Moonzilla. Is it just Godzilla with the moon? Is that it? Or
Actually, so I had a friend at the time. She was trying to get me to do a tarot page on Facebook, and I honestly was just like, Moonzilla. I don't know why. It was just random.
It sticks though.
It didn't have
It works,
anything to
yeah.
do with Godzilla.
darn it.
Mhm.
Anyway. No, it's fine.
But I mean, I thought about it, obviously because of the Zilla. So I was like, Moonzilla. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like maybe in a way, like a little bit inspired by it because of,
Yeah.
Like people go crazy,
it.
the moon controls things and it, the full moon, people act crazy. So I think that's kind of where I was getting at.
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
Moonzilla. I like your pillow.
You get the word lunatic
Oh, thank you.
from-
I've been sitting here against the wall so my phone doesn't die again. I'm like, you know what? This could be comfortable actually. This isn't bad.
Those work. Those
Did
neck
you
pillows.
say he's a lunatic?
No, I said the word lunatic comes from moon, from Luna.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a good
You're
one.
right. I haven't thought
Good
about it in a
catch.
while, but yeah.
This is why Luna is a good name. I mean,
I almost named my kid the Chinese name word for moon. Almost gave him that as his name.
What's that?
My Chinese name. Yue Liang.
that's
Yue
cool, though.
Leon.
Yeah, so we were thinking one of the Chinese names we were thinking of is Li Yue Liang.
That almost sounds
Yue
French.
Leon.
Language is awesome.
Yeah,
Lou Alien.
Yeah.
yeah,
Lou
almost.
Alien.
Yue Liang. Yeah,
Leon.
Lou
Yeah.
Alien.
yeah,
Yue
Yue
Liang.
I
Liang.
like it too. I like it too. I like
So-
Okay.
And it has
Yeah.
a phonetic value because of the number of syllables.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Now his
Good.
Chinese name is almost the same as his English name. His English name is Malachi, which means like messenger of God, and his Chinese name is Li Malachi.
That's cool.
I love Malachi. It's a really cute name.
It's
But
a good
it
name,
reminds
yeah.
me of Children of the Corn a little bit.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that,
see
so probably
should.
good because I might not have
Yeah.
chosen Malachi as his name.
Yeah, don't watch it. You're fine. You're fine. You're not missing too much.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
It's all right. The greatest. Okay.
My dad gave a bicycle tour to the dad of the redheaded kid in that movie.
Really?
That's
Yeah, he
cool.
went to Oh, we don't even have time. We'll have to go over it another day. All the weird stuff that happens on the volcano in Maui. Anyway,
Ooh,
we'll talk about it another day. But
What?
that's
I know,
we
We
gotta.
need to, we need to
There's so
stream
much, dude.
immediately.
So the next episode starts immediately after this one. No, I'm just kidding. You
Pritchard at midnight. No.
Do you have
Yeah,
time
yeah.
tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Sunday? In the evening, yeah. I'm giving the kids back at 6. So yeah,
Let's do it after that.
hit us up.
I'm down. Let's do it.
All right. So you can find me on Twitter/X as well at @A_C_Pritchard. You can find my books on Amazon at amazon.com/author/AC Pritchard. My free content, which episode 2 will be dropping as soon as my lovely wife and editor is done editing it. It is about roughly an episode and a half, almost 2 episodes worth. So thanks everybody for the wait. It's just going to be that much more content for everybody to digest. That's going to be dropping soon. I haven't picked a day. I'm just going to, like, as the process goes along, I'll update everybody. But you can find all the free stuff on acpritchard.substack.com. And for all other inquiries, you can email me at pritchardfantasy@gmail.com. And yeah, this has been Pritchard Pub, Anthony Harris, and Kahuna. And we are signing off for the evening, everybody.
Keep it real.
Wait.
Thanks for
Ching
coming.
Hao.
Take
That's
care.
not Chinese.
Jing Hao.
Ching Hao.
I think you mean to say ni hao. That's hello.
Ni hao.
Zaijian.
Ni hao. Ni hao.
Zaijian.
Oh, we need to gent this.
Yeah. These are, I love these. They never get old to me, and I was there when they were born.
Nice.
Our baby.
I think the head's left, otherwise Steve's